We took a 6,300-pound Mercedes-Benz all-electric SUV and then loaded it up with passengers and cargo, raising the curb weight to over 7,000 pounds, and decided, hey, why don't we drive this to Los Angeles, California? 3,000 kilometers. Here we go, everyone. We're on our maiden voyage. Our first stop is the Copper Point Resort in Invermere, British Columbia. This hotel that we're staying at actually has an overnight EV charger. It's a level 2, which means it's going to actually require a few hours to charge up. We're going to be staying there the night. Kids are really excited because they get to play in the pool. Probably have them go a little bit nuts after dinner and let them play in the pool all night. Maybe play in the pool a bit tomorrow morning. We've got a few challenges with this vehicle that make it a little bit different than your standard EV drive, and we're going to see how that impacts the overall range. So first of all, we've got a roof box with crossbars. I don't think the aerodynamics have been impacted as much as I thought they would, because we had the crossbars on before without the roof box and we heard a lot of wind noise. Now we have the roof box on and it's actually, the wind noise has subsided substantially. Wouldn't you agree, love?
For sure.
You can't even hear it.
No.
There's another reason why it's best to always stick with a factory Mercedes-Benz accessory like a Mercedes-Benz roof box, like the one we equipped this vehicle with, because they're definitely built for aerodynamics. Aerodynamics are very important for maximizing your range. So far, the mileage has been pretty accurate. We left with about a 99% charge and we had 552 kilometers of range. We've traveled about the distance that it says that we have left right now. So we've got 97% remaining in the vehicle. We've got 541 kilometers of maximum range. Electric vehicles are known to use a lot more power on the highway. As a result, they don't get as good of range as they do in the city because the motors are constantly turning. We're going to really put that to the test because, of course, our entire travels are pretty much all highway. Some other things that are going to be impacting the overall charge of the vehicle. We've got the seat back massager running for both my wife and I. The seat kinetics are also running, which helps to offset any motion sickness, which is something that's really, really nice about this EV because of how it rides. The motion sickness is really non-existent. We've also got a plugged in refrigerator, which is drawing power at all times. You know, our children have their devices that they're going to need to charge at times as well. And we're going to be recharging a lot of the batteries for this recording equipment that's actually in the vehicle here too. So battery is doing a lot. What was really cool today was actually when we got in the vehicle, the temperature in the cabin was really, really nice to walk into an air-conditioned vehicle in the middle of summer. Through your Mercedes Me app, you can actually simply precondition the vehicle. You can pick a departure time or you can just do it on the fly. And when you get in, it's nice and cool. In the winter months, you could actually set it up the same way so it's nice and warm. Because you don't have to run the motor, you can do things like that, which is fantastic.
Are we going to go straight from here to Invermere, or are we stopping somewhere to charge?
No, we have no need to charge.
Hey Dad, what'll happen if we run out of battery?
Well, I mean, have we ever run out of gas?
No.
So what would happen if we run out of gas?
We probably wouldn't. It'd probably give us a warning and tell us the nearest gas station.
Okay, what if the fuel gauge wasn't working right and it told me it had more gas than the car did?
I don't know.
What would happen? And all of a sudden I find out the hard way because the car sputters and stops that I'm out of gas. How do we solve that problem?
We call it tow truck?
Correct. So Mercedes-Benz has what's called roadside assistance. Roadside assistance would actually send somebody out, and just like they would if you run out of gas, they would send out a vehicle that actually would put electricity back in your battery to get you back to your next destination where you can charge the vehicle further. So what happens if you run out of gas? They send out a tow truck. The tow truck has a jerry can full of gas. They put gas back in your tank and to get you to the next gas station. It's the same thing with an electric vehicle. The difference is with an electric vehicle is it actually plots your entire route for you. Like right now we've got the navigation. It's not telling us to make any charging stops, but we could in fact make a charging stop if we really wanted to. There's multiple charging stops along the way.
So is the dash cam built into the car, or is it one of the ones that you...
Oh, it's built in. It's recording everything on this USB stick down here. Only visual, no audio. Cool thing about the Mercedes-Benz Speed Assist is it actually will read the speed limit and adjust your speed to the speed limit. So we're entering a construction zone right now, so it's dropping us down. It's going to read this 50 sign here, and it's going to instantly drop us down to 50 kilometers an hour.
How much longer are we away from the place?
Sophia, we're going to be there in approximately less than 2 hours. Look at this gorgeous scenery as we drive into Banff National Park. Beautiful. We're going to be taking the Highway 93, 95, which is actually going to be the highway we use for a lot of our drive to Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. The car had only used about 15% power before mine and Sophia's bladders gave up. So right now I just activated the active lane change assist, which was really neat. So I've got Distronic cruise control on, and I've got active lane assist active. I've got Distronic cruise active. I can take my hand off the wheel for a short period of time without it actually alerting me. Mercedes-Benz did actually just pass the test for having fully autonomous vehicles in the state of California. I don't think we're going to be able to activate that while we're down there. It's still quite new, and I think because this is a Canadian vehicle, we're not there yet. Cool thing about EQ Intelligence, it's actually saying that we're going to arrive in Invermere with 51% battery left. That is incredible. If we really wanted to push this, which we're still in the infancy of taking an EV on a long road trip, but if we really, really wanted to push this, we could easily go to the high-speed network in Cranbrook and charge there and not even charge tonight. But we're not going to do anything like that because we're still in the early stages and we're still getting to know this EV. Like anybody else out there, we still have that small sense of range anxiety, and this is something new to us. We've planned the route quite safely, but I suspect that on our return drive home, we're probably going to be a little less strict with the charging overall because the confidence would be there. Isn't that right, love?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
I don't know. We're gonna see.
Mona's been driving this vehicle now for the past 10 days, just around at home, and we had a level 2 charger in our garage, and she started to get really courageous and asked me to stop charging the vehicle for her because she just wanted to see how far it's gonna go.
I mean, I wanted to compare it to my gas car because we charge
We fill up
our car once a week, so I wanted to compare it to an electric car to see how often I need to charge it.
And how much was that bill? Once a week. What are we spending on gas?
Oh, it was like 120 a week.
Yeah, that works out to be a close average. We're anywhere between $500 and $600 a month on fuel. The interesting thing is, though, in the last 10 days, which you would take that as a third of the month, we probably spend less than $12 just by using electricity at home, by how much it would impact our electric bill using an 8 kilowatt charger. In the last few days, we only charged it once to full before we left on this trip. But before that, we were charging it every so often up to 80% and then up to 90%, not really ever going to 100. It is not recommended to go charge your electric vehicles to 100. It actually degrades the battery over time. The only time that they recommend charging your battery to 100% is only for long trips. Now, I'm not sure. That could change later on. As of right now, our technicians are probably going to be preparing within the near future to be trained on how to actually replace individual cells within a battery. And if that is the case, then I think you probably would see people go more often to 100% without a concern. But realistically, above 80%, it does take longer to charge the vehicle, and it's truly unnecessary. I mean, you're talking about a vehicle that right now I've got just over 80%. It's telling me I've got 425 kilometers of range based on the fact that I'm driving on the highway, which is where EVs use the most amount of fuel, electricity. 171 kilometers from our destination.
Woohoo! Oh, Daddy, what's that green thing on the dash, Charlie?
Oh, that's telling me I'm doing a good job by saving a lot of electricity. That's actually the eco display. What you're seeing there is it's this little green ball, and it's super cool. It's giving me 5 stars because I'm just killing it when it comes to using minimal power. So it means that it's just going to help the range that much more. We're sitting at 77% with 404 kilometers of range, which is amazing. We are merrily moving down the way, down Highway 93 on our way to Invermere. Not very far from our destination. We're approximately maybe a little less than an hour away. We hit some crosswinds along the way, which I think with the roof box definitely had an impact on the power usage. However, what's really neat, and I'm not sure if you can see it on my screen right now, as we coast down a hill, we're actually using the intelligent recuperation through the drivetrain, but the power consistently drops to 0% in terms of what it's using. So right now we're going up a small grade. We're at about 18% power, 15% power, 11 or 12% power. We just hit the halfway mark, and on the battery, we actually just dipped below 50%. We're at 49% right now. We only have 30 kilometers left to our destination in Invermere. Where we're going has a destination charger. The cool thing is, though, there's also 10 minutes up the street, just in Radium, there is a BC Hydro 350 kilowatt charger that's pretty incredible, where we could just be charging this back up in a matter of no time. It's 350 kilowatt, but of course our vehicles will charge at 200 kilowatts, so that's still a very rapid charge. We would have no issue just plugging in and moving on, but of course we started today late just to kind of get a head start on the day for tomorrow. We'll be leaving our hotel tomorrow, probably just before lunch. We're the final destination of Coeur d'Alene. We're very impressed with the fact that even though we are now saying 48%, we still have 254 kilometers of range. Our elevation is incredibly high. If I'm not mistaken, I believe we're nearly 6,000 feet above sea level right now, and that definitely has an impact too. One thing to also note that's really, really neat about EVs, normally when you have a large fuel tank in a vehicle like the GLS we normally drive, which is nearly 100 liters, usually when you have that type of fuel in there, that fuel weighs a lot. But electricity has no mass. Whether we're 100% charged or we're 10% charged, the vehicle still weighs the same. And I find that remarkable. I really do.
And here we are at the Copper Point Resort in Invermere, BC. We've traveled 271 kilometers today. We have 47% of charge remaining. Based on the initial estimate, we should have arrived with 30 more kilometers of range. It's used a little bit more than that, understandably so. Roof box on top, crosswinds that we encountered, some of the elevation that we went through. At the end of the day, the EQS SUV performed incredibly well. We're looking forward to charging it overnight in the underground parking garage, leaving with 100% full charge tomorrow on our way to Coeur d'Alene.
We just left Copper Point Resort in Invermere. We're now driving to eventually cross the border to the US. We're going to be staying the night in Coeur d'Alene, where they have a destination charger. Just to be 100% sure, we're going to stop in Cranbrook that has a high-speed DC fast charge available to us. We're going to charge up there to, well, we're not sure. We might go to 100%, we might not. We're getting a little bit more confidence right now. We're thinking that maybe we don't need to be charging as much as we do. Maybe it's a little bit overzealous. I mean, we got into Invermere yesterday. We had 47% remaining, which is worth nearly 300 kilometers, 285 kilometers or something along those lines. We really enjoyed our stay last night at the Copper Point Resort. Vehicle actually fit in the underground parking garage. Wasn't a high-speed charger by any stretch of the imagination. It was a level 2, charged at around 6.2, 6.3 kilowatts. The vehicle got plugged in when we arrived last night around dinner time, and it was charged up fully this morning before 5 a.m., ready to go. Pulled the vehicle out, drove it around into the parking lot, and loaded back up the roof box and everything else that we needed. The rooms there is like a suite, like a condo suite, and you just kind of walk out from your back door. So that was fantastic. Anyway, we'll keep you guys posted and let you know what it looks like when we get to the BC Hydro stop. We're in Cranbrook, BC at the BC Hydro charging station, which actually is electricity produced by water, which is pretty cool. It charges at about 50 kilowatts. We've been here for about a half an hour. Family is still not in the car. We are literally 5 minutes away from having a full battery. Basically what's happened is Charlie had a bit of a throw up. Milo had to do his business. The girls wanted to have some sort of a drink or a snack. Here's living proof that when you're on a road trip, it really doesn't matter that at the end of the day, if you're going to stop and charge for 30 or 40 minutes at a high-speed DC charger, it's not going to slow down your trip at all, because I'm sitting here in an empty car and have 5 minutes left to charge with 98% charge remaining on the vehicle. And you can see now it's slowed down to 38 kilowatts, 37, because it's getting harder and harder to fill that battery. Anything over 80%, of course, really slows down. That last 1 or 2% does slow down quite a bit. Not really that necessary. I'm probably going to unplug before we even get to 100. We will see you again soon when we cross the US border. We've got 539 kilometers of range with 99%. We got risky and didn't go to 100%. But we're going to be in Coeur d'Alene tonight. And the distance to travel to Coeur d'Alene is actually less than half of the range we have remaining on this car right now. I'm super impressed with the range on the EQS, especially considering the fact that we're fully loaded with the weight of the vehicle, about 7,000 pounds that we're pushing down the road. This is amazing. We just are leaving Cranbrook right now. We stopped at the BC Hydro for our charge. It wasn't a needed charge, but it was just more of a pit stop. We were looking to basically top up before our final destination today, which is Coeur d'Alene. From Cranbrook, we have another 252 kilometers remaining right now to get to that, and we still have to cross the US border too. This stop really delayed us today, did it not?
It did. It took a lot longer than we expected.
Did any of that have to do with the charge?
Not really, no. I mean, we plugged it in and then we went into a coffee shop. The kids used the bathroom. Then we walked into Safeway. We did some shopping. And by the time we were done, the car was charged.
You know, the other thing about all that is what Mona's not telling you is she was dealing with a bit of a crisis that we had to pull over for along the way. Like you get often with young children. Charlie had a little bit of a throw up. That required an outfit change. And yeah. Well, I mean, it's okay. You know what? This is what happens on road trip. We had to do all those things right now. Here's the really cool thing that I haven't even brought up yet. Yes, an EV, when you charge it, will take a little bit of your time. But the one thing that is amazing is the money you save on travel. This charge to go from 67% to 99%, which is approximately 1/3 of a tank of fuel, cost us $10.75. Now, in your GLS, that same fill would have cost us over $50.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yes, the charging time was a minimum of 3 times longer than what it would have taken just to put that same amount of fuel back into your GLS. But the cost was 5 times less. So it becomes a real balance. Now,
and to my point, that's why you have to plan your stops around the charging station. That's why when you charge, you could take your break, you could walk around, you could have your lunch, do whatever you want while it's charging.
yes. And does that make the trip more enjoyable or less enjoyable?
It doesn't make a difference. It was seamless. We didn't even realize that the car was being charged.
And that was the whole purpose of why I really wanted to do this expedition, is because the fact that we did the same drive 2 years ago in your GLS. I remember that every stop was an eternity. Here's something else that did save us time, is if you plan your trips the same way we've planned our trips, and my lovely wife has booked every hotel to be both pet friendly and have an EV charger, you're not fueling up before you leave that town or that city or finding a gas station, whatever it is. You're literally leaving with 100% from your hotel, which is fantastic. I think that's a great thing.
And right now, we technically really didn't need to fill up. We were just playing it safe because we've never done this before, just to put our anxiety at ease.
Our range anxiety is getting better because we left today after this last charge. We only charged it to 99%. We didn't wait the extra 2 or 3 minutes or 2 minutes it would have taken for the extra 1%, because anything over 80% in an EV charges really slow. And when you're dealing with that last 1%, it does take a little bit of extra time. But the good news is we left today from Cranbrook with 99%. We had 99% of a charge, and range anxiety ain't one problem. We're now traveling to
U.S. border.
U.S. border. I've got an eco mode with intelligent recuperation. As of right now, if you're seeing what's here in front of us, it's barely using 5% power going down this hill. There will be times that it will completely shut off the power overall. Right now, you can see on my screen, we're actually just coasting at 0%, literally not using any electric power at all to drive the motors. So far, we do have to say, and Love, I think you could agree, that what we've experienced so far with the EQS 450 SUV is the range has been very impressive.
For sure. I wasn't expecting it to go as far as it did.
I think we've been a little bit
Yes,
too
Charlie.
cautious, but of course that's what you do when you do something new.
With 3 kids and a dog and our whole house on our roof.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what you do. Okay, so we will check back with you guys soon when we hit that U.S. border, and we'll definitely see you guys then. We are in good old Idaho. We're not far away from Sandpoint, Idaho, which has some really nice beaches overall. As you can see, we're pretty far up north. It's kind of remote here. Probably not a lot of EV chargers.
Thank you.
We're not too concerned. We've still got 72% charge. We're staying in a hotel tonight that has an overnight charger. So once again, we'll be up early tomorrow with 100% charge and on our way over to Hermiston, Oregon, where we'll be doing a DC fast charge, and then from there we'll be carrying on to our final destination tomorrow night, which is Portland, Oregon. We're going to be staying in downtown. So we'll check in with you guys tomorrow when it's not so loud with the kids. Here we are, we're in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We managed to snag EV charging parking stall right out front. Didn't have to walk in far to get in. And we're charging at the hotel right now. It was a really good drive. One thing we noticed was that the estimation on what the charge would be upon arrival was off by about 4% in total. I think it's because we hit a lot of crosswinds. We were also driving at a much higher rate of speed than we thought we'd be able to. Just traffic was moving along really, really quickly. there are factors in there regarding the weight of the vehicle with the added roof box and the crosswinds, how much they're impacting aerodynamics of the vehicle overall. Pretty much so far all we've spent is $10 getting all the way here to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho from Calgary, Alberta. That's because of the destination chargers that are at the hotels, which work brilliantly. I mean, yes, they're slow. I mean, this one's charging right now at 6.1 kilowatts, which is not great. So we go to bed, wake up the next morning, car's fully charged, and we're on our way. The EQ intelligence and the EQS is incredible. It does a fantastic job and really plots the course well. Really gives you a lot of forewarning if you're pushing the range a little bit too far. And so far, you know, I gotta say that this has been a fantastic road trip vehicle, incredibly economical, but my God, has the ride been amazing. I mean, we just absolutely love this ride.
Join us tomorrow for our voyage to Portland, Oregon. With over 600 kilometers, it's guaranteed to be a very long day.
We are leaving Coeur d'Alene right now, heading to our final destination today, which is going to be Portland, Oregon. We're really pushing our comfort levels when it comes to range anxiety. Our first stop is going to be in Hermiston, Oregon. That is a space-age superfuel charging station. It's a high-speed DC charger. There's 309 miles on max charge right now from where we are. We started with 100% at the hotel, and we're at 98% right now. We have everything set up in an eco mode. A little bit of crosswinds today. We might be heading into a bit of a headwind that might affect the range even more. But it is saying we're going to arrive at the first charge stop with 24%. We'll see how accurate that is. Yesterday, we actually noticed that EQ Charge was over-reporting what we were going to arrive with by 4 or 5%. I'm assuming that factors such as the roof box and the added weight, also probably our speed had a bearing as well. For the record though, the one thing we'd like to leave off this one part here with before we continue on our drive, we have spent $10.75 so far to get to Coeur d'Alene. I'm assuming that when we charge at the high-speed network at the Space Age fuel station in Hermiston, it's probably going to cost us anywhere between $15 and $20 to recharge to 100% before we carry on to Portland. Let it be known that we're approximately around $25 to get from Calgary to Portland, Oregon. We're quite impressed with the range and the efficiency behind this. And you know, the most important thing that we're really impressed with, and we were all talking about it yesterday, was just how incredibly comfortable this vehicle is. So comfortable. One thing that I did turn on yesterday was the sound, which mimics the sound of the electric motors to sound some degree of like a faint gas motor. It kind of makes it a little bit more familiar. It really does work because, I mean, there's a lot of times I actually even forgot I was in an electric vehicle. It's pretty neat. Where it doesn't help you is that when you're accelerating hard to pass somebody or you're going really quickly, your wife will yell at you and say, stop going so fast. But when you make it silent, she has really no idea how fast you're going. So that's a really good, but you know, it really does help. So that you can be silent and maybe get away with a bit more, or you can make it a little bit louder and rambunctious if you want to feel good about yourself. Either which way, 204 miles left to go, and should be arriving according to the EQ with a 24% charge. We will report once we arrive there just how accurate that is. We are making a pit stop and we're actually going to hit a Electrify America charging stop. Not because we're concerned with range anxiety, even though the windstorm and the rainstorm we just drove through did definitely impact the ETA range on arrival, dropped it from 26% down to 19%. Definitely my bladder does not have the same range as EQS does. So we're gonna top up. I don't think we're gonna charge to 100%, but we're gonna go just enough for us just to have a bathroom pit stop, which is not going to have a major impact on our expected ETA. We're getting over right now to the charge station, EV charge station. I can see the sign right there. We're sitting at 61%. So let's top up a bit while we're here and have a little bit of a pit stop, use the bathrooms, and we'll be good to go. So we are at the Electrify America charging station, high-speed DC fast charging in Ritzville, Washington. We're on our journey right now, crossing 3 different states. We started in Idaho. We are crossing Washington State and then ending in Portland, Oregon today. We're at a ultra high fast DC charger right now, but As we get closer towards that 100%, we're starting to top out. So we're getting towards 76 kilowatts is all it's able to put in, even though it's able to go out at 350 kilowatts. We did get as high as 187 kilowatts, but of course now we're starting to slow down in that last 10% to fill it up. But there's only 16 minutes left of full charge. The family is still out getting sundaes, using the washroom, doing their thing. We did hit a bit of a snag because the charger was not working at first when we got there, but Electrify America reset the charger and now we're good to go. We had to stop in Ritzville, Washington to use the washroom. There happened to be an Electrify America hyper charger there that charges at 350 kilowatt. So we went ahead and said, why not? Let's just use that charger while we're here and top up, because the range in terms of the ETA range was getting a little bit concerning after we went through a massive torrential downpour and crosswind storm that probably was having a lot of impact on the range of the vehicle. We were supposed to arrive in Hermiston, Oregon with 19% charge. We started out with 26, and it started to continually go down. We decided to stop there in Ritzville. Turned out the charger we were going to use was not working. I had to call Electrify America. They were really helpful. Within a matter of a few minutes, they reset the charger, but that did cause about nearly a 20-minute delay. The charger itself actually got us from 60% to 92% in only 17 minutes, which is incredible. The guy who pulled in next to me in his electric vehicle to charge used the charging port on the same station as mine, scanned his card, which canceled my charging. It ended me at 92%. Probably was for the best, because that last 8% was going to take 15 minutes anyway. It was completely unnecessary. Our expected percentage remaining when we arrive in Hermiston now is 50%. Even if that gets impacted by as much as 10%, we still are well within the range. That charge costs $17. That's equivalent to around 24 Canadian dollars. Let's just round up with the $10.75. We're currently right now sitting at $35 of charging cost by the time we get to Hermiston, Oregon. My wife's GLS would have taken us approximately, we would have probably paid at this point at least over $200 in fuel to get here, well over $200. Pretty incredible that $35 and you're there by the time we get to that point. I estimate that including the charge that we do in Hermiston, we're going to arrive in Portland, Oregon at a cost of around $50. Looking forward to the rest of the drive. We're out of the rainstorm. Clear skies ahead. Kids have ice cream now, so they're pretty happy. On our way. Check in with you guys soon. So we just left our most expensive charging stop at Hermiston, Oregon, which cost us about nearly $40 to charge US. That equates to about $65 Canadian. So it definitely has had an impact on the economy. Now this is going to get us to Portland. So if you take that 65 plus what we've spent otherwise, we're still under $100 to Portland. A couple of things changed on this last part. We hit some really bad weather, some extreme crosswinds that really did have an impact on the range. We had an estimated arrival range of 51% charge remaining, and we actually arrived with only 34. The crosswinds were atrocious. They threw the car left and right. As I found out from the other people that were at the EV charging network, we happened to be driving directly into a headwind, which just like you would experience with airplane, for example, or any gas car, when you drive into a headwind, you're going to really hurt your consumption. It's going to have to consume quite a bit more to keep it going. That and high temperatures. I mean, it's quite warm outside right now. It's almost 35 degrees Celsius. All of these items have quite a bearing on the overall arrival. One thing I really did appreciate, and what I really appreciate at these charging places, is you feel like you're a part of a community. People ask you questions, they give you advice, they tell you what to expect. This EQS SUV has definitely garnered a lot of questions. We're not even aware of the fact that it was an electric SUV until they saw us plug in. Really fascinated by our story, and really happy to hear that we are actually performing this proven concept that we're doing right now. We do find though that the culture is a lot more welcoming and less curious as we travel further west. We also find that a lot of the charging infrastructure is far more plentiful as you go further west. One of the beautiful things you can really enjoy here is you could just hit this button right here, and at any given time, once you hit the charger on the screen, it tells you along your route all of the chargers that are available to you, which, I mean, it's massive. We've got a range right now of 281 miles, and only 87 miles we have 3 chargers, and 100 miles we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more chargers. In 150 miles, we end up picking up another, it looks like more than 10 chargers. There's definitely no issue, particularly when you're traveling in densely populated areas, like this to find the charging network that you're looking for. To some degree, it even gets a little bit competitive. I think as we were in a more remote location with a super high-speed DC charger, we didn't have a subscription set up with Electrify America, just an account. We were paying quite a bit. We could have been saving 12 cents per kilowatt hour if we would have had a subscription. Definitely being more mindful of when we're driving into a headwind as to how much that could impact your range. In this particular scenario, it hurt our range by about 30%, which is quite a bit. And I think a lot of it has to do with the added impact of the roof box. We'll check in with you guys again in Portland. We will be there at approximately 7:21 p.m., which is looking like 3.5 hours from now. And with an arrival charge estimated of 30%, looks like we're going to be hitting about 39 minutes worth of traffic. A lot of this information is right there on the screen. Really easy to do route planning with this EQ Intelligence. That's an EQS SUV. We're currently driving past the Washington Gorge, and we are heading west towards Portland. We actually happen to be hitting a very, very, very heavy headwind. We are driving west into an eastbound high wind, which has definitely been causing the vehicle to shake all over the road. As we've seen semi-trailers with the trailers swinging left and right all over the road. It's a pretty crazy wind. Makes sense why we're seeing so many wind farms on this drive. What it's really done though, it's really affected our range dramatically. As a result, what we did is we hit this EV button up here. We searched along the route for the nearest charging stations. We selected one in Hood River. It's 26 miles away. We have 124 miles of range. So we're gonna top up there just to be extra safe, because at this point it's saying that when we arrive in Portland, we're gonna be arriving with only 11% charge remaining, and that number keeps changing. I'm getting a range here of a minimum of 86 miles of range and a maximum of 123. I'm leaning on the minimum of 86, which is actually 2 miles less than our destination. We're going to be stopping at the charging station, which is also Electrify America, which is a pretty incredible network that's out here in the US. And it's a high-speed charger, DC fast charge. So we're going to go ahead and charge up there. I don't think we're going to definitely need to go to 100%. Yes, it was an unexpected turn of events, but these are things that you have to take into account. Now, in the defense of EVs, if we were in a gas vehicle with a roof box like this, our range on fuel would be significantly impacted. If you're in a different part of the world or North America that doesn't have the same infrastructure that Oregon does for EV chargers, I would say this would be more concerning. Definitely now that we're in Oregon and as we're making our way towards Portland, EV chargers seem to be popping up all over the place. We see them all the time on our display here. Mercedes-Benz EQ Intelligence is brilliant. It actually shows you them as you're driving along on your route. It displays, without you even asking for it, it displays the charging station, the kilowatts it puts out, how many of those chargers are available at any given time. Knowing that full well, we had the full confidence, but this has definitely had a massive impact on the range. I would suspect that the range has been diminished by nearly 40% today by the fact that we're driving into what I believe is about a 35 mile per hour wind that we're driving directly into. We're driving right here through the Washington Gorge, and it is hitting us full force. I've never seen the power output on the motors get beneath 15%. It actually is showing me the range of where it's been, and it actually is fluctuating at the bare minimum at a coasting speed of about 10%, and it's been going as high as 30%. And I was looking at the actual info, which you can pull up at any time here on the vehicle, and the info shows the energy flow, which is really clever because it's actually just only driving the rear wheels. So only one motor is running right now, but it's drawing off that same charge, of course. It's showing you the vehicle, the energy flow. But I was looking at this one here, and it actually shows you how much accelerator is going. And right now it's saying there's 70% accelerator, 69%. We're as high as 80%. Just to be able to keep it going at a constant speed. We will check in with you in a little bit longer once we get to our next charge point. Because we won't be going to the 100% this time, we're going to be going to the 80%. It's going to be a really quick charge. We actually charged at 180 kilowatts when we first got to Hermiston. And then of course that slowed down to as little as 98 kilowatts once we got over 80%, and down to about 78 kilowatts from 90 to 100. So yeah, we'll check in with you then. We're at the Electrify America charge point in Hood River. It gets expensive when you start to actually charge at these high-speed DC chargers. Now, I'm only going to 100%, not because I'm looking to waste money, but it happens to be in the same parking lot as a Walmart, and now my kids are inside with my wife, and they're getting now toys and treats, and they've now capitalized on the opportunity. Milo and I are just sitting back here, hanging out in the car, waiting for it while it's air conditioned. The headwinds here in Oregon really had a major impact on our range today. We really struggled to maintain the range that the vehicle was set up for. So yeah, this is where we're at right now.
We charged 98%, really wasn't necessary with only 62 miles left of downtown Portland. Spending 2 nights at the Hotel Vance. It's got an overnight EV charger. We're going to the San Diego Zoo, taking a walk to Mercedes-Benz Portland, which is only a few blocks away from our hotel, and checking out all the other sites and everything there is to see in Portland, Oregon. Join us tomorrow when we head to our next destination, which is technically our halfway point, Medford, Oregon. It's over 250 miles or 400 kilometers of distance, and it's going to be probably a little easier drive, at least we hope, than the last one.
We're leaving Portland. We had a nice couple of nights at the Hotel Vance, and we're able to overnight charge there. It's in downtown, so we really didn't need access to a vehicle. We did a lot of walking. Step counter yesterday was at 27,000, so definitely no shortage of walking. We did use the vehicle yesterday just to go to Portland Zoo. Had a really good time there. It was really fun. Definitely recommend going to check it out. We're currently heading right now to Medford. That's going to be our final destination. Now, we have a range of 267 miles, and it's a 268 mile commute. So we're definitely going to be making a stop along the way. The stop is going to be actually my wife and children's favorite,
Target.
My wife was very sad to see Target leave Canada, but always looks forward to going to Target when she's in the US. That's where we're going to be charging up at a high-speed electrified America at a Target right off the I-5, so that's going to be perfect. One of the things you'll notice is even though we have a roof box on, and because we have these GoPros mounted to the sunroof, we can't close the sun blind, which does add some insulation. But this EQS SUV is actually equipped with soundproof glass that actually really reduces the noise and reduces the amount of harmful UV and elements that could cause the cabin to really overheat. I would suspect that on other vehicles, this roof box, with the crosswinds right now, especially with the headwinds that we hit the other day, would be making substantially more noise, and it's definitely done a great job of keeping it quiet. The EQ Intelligence has been doing a fantastic job of giving us an idea of where our range is going to be, where we're going to end up. The ride has made this entire trip sublime. Like, it truly has made it sublime. We're really enjoying the ride. It's probably the best part right now. Mona usually doesn't do a lot of the driving, but she's really liking how this vehicle drives.
A lot of people wonder why the Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV rides so well. Historically speaking, SUVs and trucks don't ride very well. The reason for this is the suspension has to be tuned to be much firmer than a car that has a lower center of gravity. However, when you're dealing with an SUV that is electric, the bulk of the weight is at the very bottom of the chassis. That weight provides a very low center of gravity. Therefore, the suspension can be tuned to be much softer than most SUVs or trucks.
The intelligent cruise control paired with the intelligent recuperation that helps to maintain the battery charge, and then the eco has been doing an amazing job of just managing the amount of charge used while making the drive incredibly smooth. But it also really reduces driver fatigue. One of the things that really helps with reducing the driver fatigue is there's a vitality program that activates every once in a while. It makes some really nice sounds through the cabin. It actually ejects the fragrance through the cabin, which really helps to offset odors. We smelled some really bad odors the other day. You know, we've got 3 children. And a dog. Who usually has bad breath. And we don't smell it. That's one of the things about the EQS that makes it actually a fantastic road trip vehicle. It really is smooth, quiet, comfortable for everyone, not just the driver, the passenger, the children in the back. You know, they're squared away there on their devices.
Charlie's already asleep.
Charlie's knocked out, and what is it now? 10:30, 10:20, and he's knocked out cold, so he'll be well rested by the time we get to the next destination. This is a vehicle we could drive everywhere. The GLS 580 we have has been a phenomenal vehicle. 2 years ago when we did this road trip, we were raving about how it was incredibly smooth, how it just made the miles just fly by. But, you know, I think with the way the airmatic is set up on this vehicle, the way that the weight is really down low with the batteries, the way it feels overall, and just how incredibly quiet it is and how well insulated it is from the road. You know, from a comfort perspective, it's probably a little better than the GLS is. Yeah, definitely a little. I mean, it's a little smaller cabin. That's one thing that we wish that we could maybe gain is the cabin. The kids don't love the third row angle of the windows, which...
And they love the captain chairs of our car.
Yeah.
We made this the captain chairs.
We've tried to make our own captain's chairs back there. If you can see where the pillow's sitting on top, we folded down the center seat. But it's not the same as having true captain's chairs. And so we definitely miss the captain's chairs in the GLS. The third row windows, because of the rake of the rear window, for improved aerodynamics, it does cut that window down substantially to more of a triangular shape, less of a square shape, and the kids really miss having that in the third row. It also does cut down on the rear cargo space. We actually had to get our refrigerator cooler that we usually use is about 17 inches across the top. We had to get one that was just shy of 11, so we lost about 6 inches there. We understand the reasons for it. I mean, I've done the training on it. I know that the four-wheel active steering, which also definitely is a far superior feature to the GLS we usually drive, that those mechanisms and those controls combined with the batteries back there definitely do force the third row to be a little bit narrower as a result. The trunk space ends up being a little bit narrower as a result. Otherwise, it's really good. The amount of USB-C ports all over this are awesome. There's never any shortage for charging your devices overall. Electric vehicles will actually use more energy in the winter when you're running heaters than they do in the summer when you're running AC. It's actually almost twice as much power it takes to heat a cabin than it is to cool a cabin, which is quite opposite from what we see from a fuel consumption perspective on a gas vehicle. Things that we kind of wish it had to would be probably the power rear solar blinds on the second row. You know, the GLS has that, and the kids really, really like that. But at the same time, they haven't really talked about it very much, and I want to say it's because that glass is really doing a good job of keeping the heat out, so they don't really need that shade as much. We love the light show on the inside. We love the illuminated star with the light bar across the front. Definitely, as I was growing up, I always had this vision of what a future car would look like. This is definitely what a future car should look like. The styling at first was a little bit out there, quite a bit different than when the design trends we've become accustomed to with Mercedes-Benz over the years. It has grown on us a lot though. It's really grown on us a lot. We actually really like the styling now. We love the aggressive front fascia. We love it in this diamond white with the black exterior. It looks like a real stormtrooper from Star Wars. The styling is a little bit controversial, so there are some people that have approached me and said, that's such a hot looking vehicle, that's so cool, I love how futuristic it looks. There's other people saying, that's kind of crazy, it doesn't really look like a Mercedes-Benz. But you have to remember, when you're trying to break a design trend, and you're trying to evolve a brand, you can't continually do the same thing you've been doing for years. Yes, you can keep that familiarity there. You do have the badges and stuff. You do have some of the interior that does that, but you cannot break a mold without truly breaking a mold. We'll check back in with you guys when we get to Target. It'll probably just be me, because my wife is looking forward to just loading up that red cart. And I would probably bet you
Starbucks, walking up and down
exactly.
The aisles.
I could tell you, I could probably charge the car 2 and 3 times over by the time she's going to be done from there. So the most expensive part of that visit will not be the charge. I can assure you that. Here we are once again in a parking lot waiting for my family after I've charged the vehicle. We've been fully charged now for over 20 minutes and they're nowhere to be found. I texted my wife. She didn't respond. Let her know the car's fully charged, it's ready to go. No response. As I said when we started this video, every stop when you're on a road trip is typically longer than it's going to take to charge your vehicle. Electrify America here in Springfield, Oregon. We're at 100% charge. It's been over 20 minutes. Probably by the time I'm done this video, it would have been 30 minutes since I finished charging. We charged at a cost this time of $24 US, and I'm going to be credited back 25% of that because I signed up with the Electrify America $4 a month charging, which will actually give you a 25% off of all of your charging, which was great. My family's just arriving now. 30 minutes later, I probably could have charged a couple EQS SUVs today. We just charged up to 100% at the Electrify America that was actually in a Target. This stop ended up being about a 2-hour stop.
The Target, which
Yeah, about 2 hours. We charged in approximately 22 minutes to 100%. We have right now 48% charge left. We've got 52 miles left to our destination and 119 miles overall of range. That's in the minimum. It's saying that we have a maximum of 139. So this has done really good range today. Probably, like I said, because Mona's been driving. Mona drove the entire day today. I want this to go on record, on camera. This never happens.
This never happens.
Never happens.
Never.
So she's really liking how this vehicle drives.
It's fun. It really is the fun part to drive.
Yeah. Enjoyable. Okay, so we're just arriving in Medford right now. We're 5 miles away from our hotel. We really pushed it today. Really pushed it from the last charge station where we were at 100%. We drove all the way from Springfield, Oregon to Medford, Oregon. Ended up taking it all the way down to 31%, which by the time we get to the hotel, we're gonna be just at 30%. I mean, 30% still means that we have 81 miles minimum of range, which is quite a ways if we had to ever backtrack for any reason. The hotel does have a destination charger. It is a 6.6 kilowatt charger, so of course it'll be charged up for us by the time we leave in the morning. It's not a bad thing to alternate on a road trip where you're going to use a DC fast charge and then use an AC charger for a destination charger overnight. It's a lot easier on the batteries on all EVs. You're not always want to be fast DC charging all the time. It's just a lot of watts going in and can get the battery pretty hot. As time progresses, you will degrade the battery's life if you're only ever DC charging on any electric vehicle. Pleasant drive today. First day I didn't do any of the driving. Mona did all of the driving herself. She's really enjoyed it. Got everything unpacked, ready to hit the sack. We're staying the night in Medford. We're leaving tomorrow morning. We got a 580 kilometer drive ahead of us to San Francisco. We're overnight charging right now, but because we arrived with 30%, it's a 14-hour charge. It will be charged up fully, ready to go by 6:47 a.m. At 6 kilowatts, it's going to take 14 hours to do that. We hope to hit the road by 7:30. Let's see. With 3 kids and a dog, it's not always so easy getting out the door. I'm usually up at 4 in the morning, so I'll be up bright and early, packing the roof box again, getting everything ready to go, and hopefully we can have some breakfast complimentary of the hotel, jump in the car and just go. We're leaving our halfway point of Medford, Oregon, on our way to San Francisco for episode 5. Good morning. We're just leaving Medford, Oregon right now. Earliest departure we ever had. We got out of there at 8:45 a.m. We're getting an ETA of 4 p.m. into San Francisco today. I used the EQ intelligence this morning to actually route everything. I figured out yesterday that the slow charge we experienced on the way down when we stopped in Springfield at the target was a byproduct of me not actually entering in the navigation that we were going to a DC fast charger. I instead just used the address for the target. So the battery didn't get preconditioned, and therefore the vehicle did not accept a high-speed charge. This is meant to ensure that the battery never overheats and also helps to maintain the longevity of the battery. This time though, I did things a little bit differently. When I used the EQ intelligence this morning, it actually told me to only make 1 stop and then arrive into San Francisco with 20% charge. I actually added 2 stops because I did not think there was any way that we were going to go for 222 miles without stopping. So I strategically found 2 Electrify America charging stops, and we're using both of those charging stops along the way. One of them happens to be at a Safeway parking lot. The other one happens to be at a Walmart parking lot. The first one's at 11:22 a.m. We can get a little bit of an early lunch. The second one, we can stretch our legs, use the washroom. And the third stop is going to be in San Francisco, and we've set up our route to actually drive into San Francisco through the Golden Gate Bridge. It's going to be a beautiful drive today through Oregon and then crossing into the state of California. Okay, we just charged up in Redding, California, another subdivision area called Anderson. It was in a Safeway parking lot, lots to do, lots to get. We went to 100%. The EQ intelligence were telling us we didn't have to because we're stopping in at about 60 miles. We have to get a new USB stick because the one that we were using for the dash cam stopped working for some reason. So we're going to stop there, and the kids are going to have a little bit later lunch because there happens to be a high-speed charger there. So that's our next stop. We will check in with you guys when we get there. We arrived at the Walmart in Willows, California that happens to have an Electrify America ultra high-speed 350 kilowatt charger in their parking lot. We arrived with 77%, charged up to only 94%. We were there for about 12 minutes, including the hookup time.
ran inside the Walmart, got the media equipment we needed. Mona ran out and got the kids some food, and here we are now on our way to San Francisco. As we continue to progress towards San Francisco, the temperatures dropped from as high as 35 degrees Celsius down to 15 degrees Celsius. That's a 20-degree swing. The battery needs to be maintained at an optimal temperature to maintain optimal range. The cooling and heating system is set up in such a way that there are two individual coolant lines. One coolant line will circulate around the entire battery and through every individual cell of the battery to maintain the optimal temperature. The second coolant line will actually run around the motors, and that will help to maintain the motors at a lower temperature so they never overheat. Batteries, when they get too hot, will become inefficient. The same could be said for batteries when they get cold. And as we continue to progress into the San Francisco Bay Area, we did not see a variance in our ETA of range as a result of the temperature swing. We are on the Golden Gate Bridge.
So nice.
Look at this. It is beautiful. We have made it to San Francisco. Left this morning from Medford, Oregon. 580 kilometers today. That was an epic feat. And I'm happy to report that the kids are all getting along and my wife and I are still married. Yay! There you go. We are going to be arriving at the hotel in 4.6 miles. We're going to go visit the Fuller House tomorrow. Full House. Because Sophia
The house
and
of
Julia
Full House.
and Charlie love watching Full House. They love it.
Fuller.
They watch Fuller House.
Full House is when you and I
Mommy,
were.
Mommy and Daddy used to watch Full House because we're a lot older.
Daddy,
Yes.
it looks like you're 100.
It looks like I'm 100 years old. I look pretty good for 100. Did everyone have a fun drive today?
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
enjoyed themselves? Yeah?
Oh, my back's hurting right now.
Okay. Thanks, Julia. Always adding the drama.
Right now.
Oh, yeah. Now your back is hurting too, Charlie? Okay. And here we are at the Westin St. Francis in Union Square, San Francisco. The EQ Intelligence estimated that we were going to arrive with a 49% charge remaining. We arrived with slightly less at 46%. Pretty impressive considering the fact that we traveled nearly 600 kilometers today. It only cost us $22.57 US to charge. That's the sum of both charge stops that we made along the way. We also made the trip a little longer than usual by adding San Rafael as a waypoint. That was so we could come in on the Golden Gate Bridge. Looking forward to the overnight charge here at the Westin and looking forward to carrying on to San Luis Obispo tomorrow. Join us for the next episode when we travel to San Luis Obispo. The scenery is beautiful and it's just an epic drive to enjoy. So we are on our way out of San Francisco. Our greatest challenge for the road trip today is getting out of San Francisco. We are going through Bay Area traffic, which is crazy. We stayed for a night at the Westin in Union Square, downtown San Francisco. It was a really, really nice hotel, super cool exterior elevators that make you feel like you're going on a roller coaster. The staff was unbelievably helpful. They had an EV charger, an overnight destination EV charger. Unfortunately, it was in their underground parkade, which meant that there was only a 6-foot clearance. However, the EQS 450's roofline is so swept back enough that even with just the crossbars on, we were able to get in. And the staff there was super helpful. They actually helped me take the roof box off and they put it in a storage room that was literally right where you checked in at the valet. They helped me put it back on this morning. It was a cinch. It was as simple as loading bags in the roof. And we're leaving there today with 100% full charge on our way to San Luis Obispo. Did I say that right, love?
Obispo.
Obispo. Okay. San Luis Obispo. So we're going there right now and we're going to be staying at a hotel that does not have an EV charger. So we're going to have to be a little bit strategic this time. We couldn't really find a hotel that worked for us in San Luis Obispo that had EV chargers. So we're going to be staying without charging overnight.
No, there were, but they weren't pet friendly.
Right, they weren't pet friendly. That's the challenge we're dealing with from right now. Cool thing is that right up here on the screen, you can actually see that as soon as I set the destination, it actually added in a charge stop for me, and it's telling me that we're only going to charge to 64% to arrive with 27% at the hotel. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually go to a full 100% because we don't have a charging station where we're going, and we don't want to be limited to how soon we have to stop as soon as we leave tomorrow morning to our final destination, Los Angeles, California. We'll check in with you guys in a bit here once we're merrily on the road. We had a small detour this morning. The kids watch
fuller house. They wanted to see the fuller house. We took a photo of it, but we're on our way right now to San Luis Obispo, and we will check in with you guys at the next charge station.
A few moments later.
We are still in stop and go traffic, which brings me to a fantastic feature that the Mercedes-Benz EQS is equipped with, and that is Active Distronic Plus with active stop and go. So how this works is I've got the cruise control set to 70 miles an hour right now, which is a dream. It is a dream to go 70 miles an hour today, because in California traffic, it's not going to happen. But we are coming to a dead stop, as we just did right now, and then proceeding to move forward again. We are so close to our destination. We're going to arrive quite late now as a result. That was the vehicle giving me a warning that the people next to me are getting fairly close. Brought up the camera to tell me, hey, that guy's maybe getting a little bit too close for comfort. You just saw the vehicle pick up and move. I didn't do that. The vehicle did. So when we get to a stop, it will actually hold its position right there. When the car in front of you starts to move, it picks up and moves on its own again. The nice thing about that is that a lot of accidents happen in traffic from just rolling into one another, because people just become inundated with this stop and go, and then something distracts them, whether it be them adjusting their stereo, looking off into the abyss, people watching the traffic that's next to them. Which way, something happens and you just end up in this situation. So the stop and go traffic really helps you alleviate these problems. The good news is for the amount that we've crawled, we only charged to 95 or 94% of the last stop, and we've only used 5% of the charge, which is fairly impressive given the fact that, we've traveled or crawled about 30 some miles, and the AC is going, my back's being massaged, stereo's been playing, kids are charging their devices. It's the end of it. I just wanted to show you guys the stop and go function, which probably works best in California where traffic is the heaviest. We sure are fortunate being in Calgary that we don't see traffic to this degree, but it's just a lot of people that live here. More people live in California than all of Canada. Not sure if that's still true. We just broke 40 million, but not far off. We are almost out of this now, and definitely the stop and go function helped to alleviate a lot of driver fatigue. We'll check in back with you guys in San Luis Obispo that we can just see and taste but cannot touch yet. The traffic getting out of San Francisco got us all pretty hungry. The commute is not that far today, but of course the time is taking longer than expected due to the traffic. The kids are hungry now, and we're getting really close to their favorite, which is a Chipotle that happens to be in Gilroy, California. And it just so happens that there's a charge point there. And that charge point charger is not the fastest charger at 62.5 kilowatts, but with an arrival estimation of about 75%, we might as well just let it charge up to 100% to give us that extra peace of mind as we drive to San Luis Obispo. We've decided to stay at the Marriott in San Luis Obispo. Just so happens it's a quarter mile away from Mercedes-Benz of San Luis Obispo. And a wonderful gentleman there by the name of Jonathan Crabtree actually assisted us and allowed us to park the vehicle there overnight and charge it on their level 2 charger. And I'll be back in the morning to pick it up on our way to Los Angeles, California. We covered a total distance of 382 kilometers today. We made one charge stop merely out of convenience and to have lunch, not out of necessity. That charge cost us $23.41. We arrived in San Luis Obispo with a remaining charge of 49%. We were supposed to arrive with 3% variance, not too bad at all. We have a 335 kilometer drive ahead of us, and we don't plan to make any stops whatsoever. We are leaving San Luis Obispo. Our final destination is actually Orange County, Los Alamitos, which is near Anaheim, Disneyland. For all intensive purposes, this trip is a YYC to LAX trip. We will be passing LAX along the way and carrying on to Mona's parents' house. We had a really fun time in San Luis Obispo. We went for breakfast this morning, beautiful downtown. We arrived last night in San Luis Obispo. When we got there, we realized that San Luis Obispo Mercedes-Benz was actually a quarter mile from our hotel. So even though we didn't have access to a destination charger, we happened to roll up there. A gentleman by the name of Jonathan Crabtree, who works there, who's an EV expert, happened to be there late night and kindly offered to let us charge at their store. So we left the car there overnight, and I walked back this morning and picked it up. Beautiful place, super friendly people. The staff at Mercedes-Benz of San Luis Obispo were absolutely incredible, super helpful. We were pretty happy with our visit there for sure. We visited the Gumball Wall. Love, why don't you tell them a bit about the Gumball Wall?
There's two different stories. The first story is it started around World War II, and people would just stick their gum on that wall. And then there's another story that I think it was Cal Poly against another local university, and whenever they would win a game, the winning team would go and put their gum on the wall, and it just carried over. Businesses complained that it wasn't sanitary, so the city tried to clean it, and they tried to remove all of the gum, and they did. They removed the gum, and then before they knew it, people were just sticking their gum on that wall again, so it just stuck. And now you just see people walking up and down sticking their gum on the wall, and that's what we did. We let the kids chew gum and stick their gum on the wall.
So we have 214 miles to go and a minimum range of 238 and a maximum range of 262. We may very well just push this right to the end today. We may not. As of right now, the EQ intelligence is not routing us to any specific charger. It's saying that we're going to make it. So let's just see what happens. We'll check in with you guys as we get a little bit closer to LA.
To the OC,
Well, LA and then the OC.
obviously.
Yes. Santa Barbara, LA, then Orange County.
A few moments later.
We are right now entering Santa Barbara. The navigation system routed us around some traffic, which we're very fortunate for because we ended up on this gorgeous canyon road. We can see the Pacific Ocean from up here. This is an epic drive. Mona's getting really excited because she's on her way to the house. Now, we're not going to stop at LAX. We're going straight to Los Alamitos, Seal Beach, Orange County. We are 128 miles from arrival, and we have 163 miles minimum and 185 miles maximum of range remaining. If our bladders hold, we're going to push right through to the end without charging. Show up there with 20% charge or less. We're over the range anxiety, plus we're also at the final destination,
Tired.
so we really don't care. We're tired. Yes, we're tired. It's been a long week. It's been a really long week. But my lovely wife has made it amazing.
Wow.
So.
You got that on camera.
Yeah. Without her, this trip could not be possible.
What, Lovey?
My battery died.
Because it took two of us to make three kids.
Well, for some reason.
Okay. Here we are at the tail end of our trip, arriving in Los Angeles County. We just want to reflect on the road trip that we just had. 3,000 kilometers in an electric vehicle. Can this be done, love? Can this
Definitely.
Okay. And how much of an inconvenience was it by comparison to the road trip we did 2 years ago in your GLS?
The only difference I notice is the stops have to be longer. A road trip, obviously, takes a little more planning in an EV than it does a regular gas car like my GLS.
Yeah. One thing I did like about it a lot, though, is traveling with Milo. It was nice. It was nice to be able to leave him in the car at times,
Yeah.
so that we could just basically run the pre-entry climate controls, so that the car was cool the whole time. You didn't have to worry about idling the motor or whether or not the car could stay locked the whole time. That was really convenient. I like the fact that we could run accessories like the cooler in the back and keep things cold, even when the vehicle was not running, when it was parked at certain times. That was a really nice feature to have. I really, really like the fact that it was consistently alleviating our concerns with range anxiety.
Yeah, the range wasn't bad at all. I was actually very impressed by how long of a stretch we could go without charging.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that whenever we programmed the destination, how it would add a charge stop to our
Oh wait, it did that automatically? I
on
thought
its own.
you added
No,
the,
on its own.
the charge stop.
Some of them I altered them because I wanted to go to different places than others, because we felt like maybe going to Target in some scenarios and didn't want to go to a Walmart. So in those scenarios, I was able to actually alter it overall. And the cool thing is it actually just tells you how much you actually need to charge in order to make it to your final destination. I also really like the way the navigation really routed us around a lot of traffic. That helped us a lot. You know, it's the EQ intelligence navigation is constantly, being mindful of what your range is going to be and what it's going to do overall. I really enjoyed the fact of all the people you meet in the little EV community clique that, everyone was talking to us everywhere we went when we ended up charging at the charge points and at the Electrify Americas, and asking me about the range. And I mean, it's It felt pretty good. I gotta honestly say, it felt pretty good when I would tell them the range and they were just blown away. We were consistently delivering far more range than their electric vehicles had. We really enjoyed how curious people were overall. Like at the West End, St. Francis in San Francisco, everyone was asking me a lot of questions about it. They were fascinated by the four-wheel steering. The valets were raving about the four-wheel steering because they loved about how easy it was to be able to get into a lot of the parking stalls that they had to squeeze into all the time. I don't think Mercedes-Benz has done a good enough job of actually letting people out there know just how good of a vehicle this is. And it's just not just your everyday electric vehicle. This is a Mercedes-Benz. These are the pioneers in automotive, pioneers in safety. Yes, they came to the party a little bit later with an electric vehicle, but wow, did they make an entrance, because this vehicle has just traveled over 3,000 kilometers worry-free for us and has been super enjoyable. There's 38 moving parts in this vehicle versus 3,800 moving parts in the average gas vehicle. We're signing off for now and arriving at our final destination here right away. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's been an awesome trip. We'll follow up with more information there later on. We loved having you guys on this trip with us. We had a lot of fun. This was really amazing. And
See you on the drive back.
see you on the drive back. We'll be going through Vegas. If I put my money down on the wrong number on the roulette table, guess what? We're gonna have to find more free EV chargers to get home.
And no more G-Wagon for me.
And no more G-Wagon. Here we are. We didn't just go to Los Angeles. We overshot it a bit as we're staying in Orange County near Anaheim and traveled 335 kilometers today from San Luis Obispo to Los Alamitos, California, which is in Orange County near Anaheim. We were supposed to arrive with 20% charge remaining. We actually ended up arriving with 21% charge remaining. There were times that the charging ETA was greater than what the actual charge amount was when we arrived. And lo and behold, there was times that it was actually saying that we were going to arrive with less charge than we actually arrived with. All in all, it was all pretty close, pretty accurate. And for the most part, as we continue to progress further west and progress further south, turned out to be more and more charging locations available. And therefore, range anxiety really was not something that we were too concerned with. Thank you for watching these 7 episodes on our epic journey to Los Angeles, California, all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We still got to get home. And as much as we've learned on our drive down, we still haven't fully discovered the secrets of the Mercedes-Benz EQ technology. We've learned a lot, and we hope you did too. We're looking forward to you joining us on our return drive home. Join us for episode 8 when we start our journey back home to Calgary. We are leaving California. Mona's been here for a month in the EQS. We are on our way out of town, heading to Lake Tahoe. We're going to be going up through Lake Tahoe, staying there for a couple of nights at the Marriott there. It'll be a really nice stay right on the lake. And then we're going to be driving up from there to Klamath Falls, Oregon. And then from there, we're going to be staying at Winnetachee, Washington. We're going to be crossing into British Columbia and charging up in Osoyoos and carrying on to Kelowna. Staying in Kelowna at the Grand there for a couple nights, and then we're going to carry on home to Calgary. All of our hotels do have EV chargers. I did some tracking when Mona was in California for the month. We didn't have access to home charger, so we had to publicly charge the whole time. I wasn't there for a lot of it, but Mona was. We actually were able to track it through the Mercedes-Benz Me app. And that app actually stated that we only spent $85 on charging, public charging, which would be the equivalent of having to gas your vehicle up at a gas station. Now, normally in the GLS for driving for a month, it's about $500 or $600. It was incredible to witness charging network that's in Southern California. It truly is epic. I mean, it's definitely what's going to be coming everywhere else. We're going to probably see that in Calgary as well and across other places as the infrastructure grows. It's pretty neat to see that there's more charging stations than there are fuel stations in most of the vicinities that we stayed in. It's usually a level 2 when you're charging there, so you're not getting a ton of charge, but it's still really good. Today we're going to Lake Tahoe. We're going to be staying at the Marriott there. The EQ Intelligence already has mapped out our charging locations. They're Electrify Americas. Typically, these are in places where, you know, you'll find a Starbucks, you'll find a restaurant, you'll find a Walmart, a Target, whatever it might be. So it's really, really convenient on a road trip. We have 2 charging locations across the way. One's at the Electrify America in Olancha, California. And then there's another one in Bridgeport, California on the main street there. And then we should be arriving by about 4:42 p.m. at the Marriott. So we'll be just in time for dinner. and that'll be perfect. The kids will get a chance to swim. There's a destination EV charger there as well. Status of charge right now, we're at 83% charge. Currently to our first stop, we have approximately 158 miles to go. It's saying we're gonna arrive there with 20% or more, saying we have 31 minutes of charge time. I suspect we're gonna be there a lot longer just because we're arriving at 10:53 a.m. Everyone's had something minimal for breakfast, and we are gonna want a coffee and whatnot. So that's gonna be really good there too. We'll check in with you guys in just a bit here once we get a little closer to our first stop. We're 91 miles from our first stop, really pushing the range this time. It started out by saying that we were gonna arrive with 17%. Now it's saying we're gonna arrive with 13%. I think the crosswinds on this road are really having an impact overall. We're seeing that the range continues to change a bit. We've got an hour and 25 minutes until we arrive. I did look as a backup though, which is really cool. You can actually just pull up right up on here, along the route. You can look for EV charging stations, and then you can eliminate the ones you wanted to. So in a worst case scenario, if we really had to charge earlier, could default to one of these 62.5 kilowatt chargers. But then if we were able to push the extra 22 miles to get to where we're supposed to go, we get to a 350 kilowatt charger, which is going to be really important when we're charging from such a low percentage, because it's going to definitely charge at a very high speed rate. We're down to 47% charge right now. This is a good stretch here, this first stretch of the day. The slower I drive, the better my range. However, the sooner we get there, the more I'm going to spend on charge. So if it's within the range, I'm going to definitely push it. The speed limits in the US are really good. You're talking average 70, 75 miles per hour. A lot of times we're driving anywhere between 120, as much as 130 kilometers an hour, depending on what the freeway allows. But that's definitely going to have a significant impact on your EV range overall. Our ETA changed to 10:51 a.m. I'm assuming we're crossing a time zone. So it updated to 10:51 a.m., which means we're actually going to be at our final destination. No, it's still saying 4:43 p.m. So it was factoring the time change there too. This is saying that we would have spent 7 hours and 13 minutes of total time on the road, including charging today. I mean, at any point I can add restaurants to the actual stop. I see that there's 2 of 4 chargers available at this one. We might want to stop a little bit sooner. So we'll just add that one to the stops. That way the kids can use the washroom. We'll charge up a bit there. That way we don't have to push the limit as far. Maybe I can drive a little bit faster. It's going to give us a little more distance to get to our next stop location. Comment below and let us know, how long does it normally take for you to make a stop? Depending on how many kids you have, if you have a dog, let us know what you end up doing when it comes to these long road trips. You can probably see on the dash cam, it's some pretty amazing views here. Driving up into the hills, continuing on our way to Lake Tahoe. We are driving through the desert. We're experiencing quite a bit of elevation right now. I'm not sure exactly just how high we are, but we're getting quite high. We are going to arrive at our first charging station with 18% remaining. It's a little bit better than we had expected overall. We're going to charge up to 100%. From there, we have another stop for a charge. And then 2 hours later, we should be at our final destination, Lake Tahoe. Definitely putting the EQ to the test today. There's no doubt about it. This is putting it to the test to the max. We're seeing right now that range is definitely being impacted on a significant note today. Hey, love, how are you feeling about what we're seeing today with our range?
I mean, I'm definitely nervous. I'm watching the percentage drop, and it's dropping pretty quick. And then I'm looking at the screen, and it says we're going to arrive. Literally 3 minutes ago, it said we were going to arrive with 20%. Now it's down to 17%. So I'm getting pretty nervous.
I think this has probably been one of the most grueling tests for the EQS on our road voyage. We're definitely feeling the effects of it overall. We've got some charging to do when we get to our next destination for sure. No doubt about
how long
that.
that takes, because we've never charged this low.
No, we have never gone down to the 17, like to the teens, to charge up from before. So we're going to see how long it's going to actually take us to charge, and we're charging to 100%. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we're out in the middle of the desert. We are not taking any chances. The nav is suggesting that we only go to 77. I mean, I have learned that on this road trip, when you're driving in an EV and you're adding additional weight over and above what the vehicle's weighted for, you're doing things that are going to further impact the aerodynamics. Probably carrying about an extra 200 pounds of luggage up there. We've got the fridge cooler in the back that's running the whole time. We've got devices that are charging off of the vehicle the entire time. you need to start looking at it in that scenario and saying, hey, you know what? The car might say that I'm going to arrive there with 15%, but what if it uses 7 or 8% more? You know, am I going to want to really push it that far? One of the things you can do actually in the EQ Intelligence is you can actually set what your comfort level is to actually what your preferred percentage should be at your arrival. And we've set this one to 20%, which I think is really good, because even if there's a margin of error of even 50%, you're still going to arrive with 10. Realistically, that's kind of how you should be planning these EV road trips if you're going to be carrying a roof box and added weight overall, driving through extremely hot climates, deserts like what we're going through right now, high elevations, which is why my ears are starting to pop. Those are all going to play major parts in what your range is truly going to end up being. We're currently sitting at 28% charge, saying that we have 33 miles left to go.
Now it's down to 16%.
Now it's saying down to 16%, so we're going to be putting in there on just a few sparks. We're definitely getting a lot more comfortable with it all. We'll check back in with you so that you don't have to see Mona fidgeting and being all nervous about whether or not we're going to make it.
We're going to make it. I don't care what you're going to do, we're going to make it.
Okay. Here comes the moment of climax. We're sitting at 14% charge. We're 3.2 miles away. It's saying that we're going to arrive with 14%. I think it's going to be maybe 13. This is the lowest we've ever run the charge on a road trip. And I mean, of all the places we did it in was in a desert.
Mojave Desert.
In the Mojave Desert. How are you feeling about the arrival?
I don't know. I mean, it keeps on dropping. I mean, we'll be there in 3 minutes. So I'm feeling a little better. I'm trusting it a little more.
Yeah.
But I'll feel a lot better once we're there.
Were you thinking about hitching a ride with somebody else and just leaving me on the side of the road?
Or making you push it next to the car.
Yeah. We could do that. I mean, it's 3.5 tons, right?
I mean, you're strong.
I didn't
You
get
could do it.
I didn't get a workout in
Why
today,
not?
so why not, right? I mean, it would have worked out well. Oh, reserve level
not?
charge. Reserve level charge, high voltage battery. So we just got our first warning. We're in the yellow that we're in reserve level charge, and our exit's right here. We've definitely pushed the envelope today in the Mojave Desert, and we are currently sitting at 13% charge. And this is our exit here, in the middle of nowhere. And apparently, there's a really big charging station
There it
here.
is.
How much are we going to charge to, love?
100. If we could do 110, I would do 110.
Okay. All right, let's get this going. We just left Costco Chevron. We charged to 97%. It was taking a really long time for that last 3%, and we figured that it was more than enough because the vehicle had recommended only 77% of charging to our next location. Our next location is actually in Electrify America again in Bridgeport. This is one scenario where we could tell you that the charging did take longer than the family was taking at this pit stop. So the family did not need the 60 minutes we needed to charge. Yes, 60 minutes. We started with the full-on 200 kilowatts. I heard the fan going for the whole time that we were there to keep the batteries cool. It's part of the Mercedes-Benz EQ Intelligence. But I saw those kilowatts drop quite a bit. And then for the most part, we averaged close to 100 kilowatts of charging. So about half the speed as we normally would. I think we would have been in and out of there in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, had it charged at the proper amount. But given the temperatures, you can't get the battery too hot. It just runs too much of a risk. So when it hits that heat limit, it slows down the charger and the battery, that it's just not going to consume it at the same amount. We were able to all use the washroom. This worked really well for me because I was able to change the batteries on the media devices and charge some of the other batteries, which is going to be helpful until we get through to the next stop. And it allowed me to take some drone footage. I suspect, given the weather and how hot it is right now, I suspect that we're probably going to have a similar slower than usual charge at the next location. I think driving through a desert in general is a challenge for any vehicle. I'm not trying to put this as a feather in the hat for the EV. Constantly climbing into the mountains, going through hot temperatures, dealing with crosswinds, all of these things have played a major part on reducing our overall range. I suspect that as we get into better temperatures, it would be great, but from the looks of it, we're driving into a heat wave both in Oregon and Washington. We're going to be in temperatures of 90 to 100 some degrees. I'm not sure that the situation is going to get a lot better, but that is why it's super important to AC charge overnight and not always DC charge at fast chargers. You know, AC charging overnight really It gives your battery a nice break, and charging to 100% on the AC doesn't have the same impact on the longevity of a battery as it does otherwise. Who here has driven through a desert? Please share your comments. What challenges have you faced in a gas vehicle? We'd love to hear your comments. Have you done it with the family before? We'd love to hear all about that. We're currently at about 52% charge. We're 32% until our next charge stop, which will be our second charge stop. We'll be stopping in a place called Bridgeport, California. It's a Shell gas station. Right now we're sitting at 49%. It says my minimum range is 116. So if I'm driving it crazy, if some unexpected turn of events happen, I should get 160 miles. But my maximum is 142 miles. Really, I've been looking at this the whole time to be completely on the safe side so that we're not left stranded anywhere. I've been looking at it saying my next destination is less than the minimum, which in this case, my next stop is 65 miles from here. My minimum is 116. I'm more than okay, even if anything throws me a curveball. And that really helps you alleviate any range anxiety, any concerns, any fears. I've got an eco display that actually tells me what I'm doing in terms of for my input. Right now it's giving me green, it's giving me 4 out of 5 stars, so it's telling me I'm doing a really good job up this hill. The Mercedes-Benz EQ intelligence is incredibly impressive. Definitely been alleviating a lot of our range anxiety concerns. We'll check in with you guys closer to our destination. It's 59 miles from here. It's saying we're going to arrive with 30%. We'll be there soon enough, and we'll check in with you guys when we get there. We currently have 27% charge remaining. It's saying that we're going to arrive in 5 miles with 26% charge. We're going to top it up to the max, and then we got a little bit less than a 2-hour hike to the Marriott in Lake Tahoe, which is where we're going to be spending the next 2 nights. This has been a long day of 7 hours of road time, and we've only killed off about 5 hours of it. We just left Bridgeport, California. This time the car actually was done charging well before we finished. We were all very hungry, had a kind of early dinner, late lunch kind of deal. We didn't quite charge to 100%. I think 93% is what we charged to. So we are 76 miles from our final destination, which is Lake Tahoe. We definitely did not need to charge to 100% today on this last charge. But like I said, it was a long stop. So we said, why not? We're going to be arriving at in about approximately an hour and a half, and we should have 70% charge left. We're over 7,000 feet above sea level. You kids were troopers today. It was a long, long day. We drove.
Are we going back down here?
We did over
Yes,
about 8 hours of road time, I think it was. And we're finally here. We're top of the world in Lake Tahoe, and the EQS did an amazing job. We're at 66% is our current state of charge, but we finally made it. We're here for 2 nights, so we get to rest up for a little while. We will check back in with you guys later. We're staying here for 2 nights, and we'll be back on the road again in a couple of days.
Bye.
We traveled 7,200 feet above sea level to South Lake Tahoe, enjoyed a couple of nights there, and now we're going to continue on our journey home. Join us for episode 9, where we travel to Klamath Falls.
Okay, here we are. We're just leaving Lake Tahoe. We stayed at the Marriott there. Really, really nice resort. Had a bit of drama this morning. Milo wasn't feeling too well. He was coughing up a bit of a storm. We had him at a doggy daycare yesterday. We think he might have picked up a bit of a kennel cough. Fortunately, he's got his shot, so he's going to be okay. I had to put him on a bit of an antibiotic. We had to rush from Lake Tahoe back into Carson City to a fantastic hospital called the Carson City Veterinary Clinic and Hospital. They got us in right away, put him on some antibiotics, and he's doing great right now. I had to drive down that same crazy mountain that we had to drive up to get there. I used a strong recuperation on the descent down that hill, and basically upon using that strong recuperation, it actually put power back into the vehicle. And it's funny because I left the hotel with 99% and I arrived 17 miles later with 98%. Unfortunately, I got back to the hotel and I ended up with 89% charge. 17 miles each way, you're talking 36 miles, and only use 9 or 10% of charge was pretty amazing. We're driving today to Klamath Falls, and it's going to be a challenging drive. We have to drive to Reno first and charge at a Target there. It's going to electrify America. The EQ intelligence is telling me to top up to 95% when we're there. We're going to go to the full 100. We don't want to take any chances. It's saying that when we arrive at the Klamath Falls, we're going to have approximately 21% charge based on 95. So by pushing that extra 5%, we should have 26% charge. But we have to also take into account that we're driving through a heat wave. It's going to get pretty hot here today. We're also...
What? We're going to have to drive through a heat wave?
Yeah, we're driving
I'm
through...
not rolling my window down.
Yeah. It's not going to be great if you roll your window down if you're driving through a heat wave. So we're going to be driving through a heat wave. We definitely know that there's going to probably be a bit of loss of kilowatts for that reason. We also have to always be mindful of our roof box because, you know, the car has no way of knowing that there's a roof box on it. It just has to take an average of the kilowatts used per 100 kilometers. I'm not sure if we're going to be pushing it as far as we did in the desert today, but it's definitely going to be a bit of a push and a squeeze. Stay tuned. We'll keep you posted. For now, enjoy the beautiful scenery. This is a gorgeous drive. I highly recommend it for anyone. Please remember to like and subscribe. Tell us if you've had any major crazy hiccups on a road trip before where it had something to do with the pet, with the kids, something that kind of threw you for a loop. I'm sure you've had scares as well on the road trips, not just with pets, with probably children. So please let us know your comments and what you've experienced with that. But we'll check in with you guys once we get to Reno. Here we are at the Target, charging up. We're at 99%. It's creeping and crawling at 25 kilowatts right now to get that last 1% in, but we're going to squeeze every last bit of juice out. It says that we're going to be at 100% in 2 minutes. I got 99% in my battery, but not one single family member except for Milo in the car. Kind of crazy, but exactly what I assumed. It was supposed to be a quick 20-minute charge. Of course, the family is not anywhere to be found. They're loving it in there. We have a 256-mile journey and 320 miles of range. We are leaving Reno, crossing back into California, and on our way over to Klamath Falls in Oregon. The destination's 245 miles away, and we have a minimum of 293 and a max of 293. So I guess it's saying it's pretty confident that it's 293 for our range. There is a charge point in Susanville. It's a 6.6 kilowatt charger. It's approximately an hour and 15 minutes from here. Not sure we're going to be able to hang out in the car till 6:47 p.m. So we'll charge up a bit when we get to Susanville. We're in the eco mode, driving the speed limit right now of 65 miles an hour. We have 91% charge, 291 miles, which is the minimum that we're going off of right now, and an ETA of approximately an hour and 15 minutes from now. So we'll charge up there, grab some lunch. I'm sure everyone's going to be hungry by then. They haven't had lunch yet. We haven't had lunch yet, only breakfast. Might as well just take our time at lunch and top up a bit on that 6.6 kilowatt charge point. The drive tomorrow is a lot easier than this. There's quite a few more rapid chargers along the way. And the day after that is the same story. And then, of course, from Kelowna to Calgary is also really good that way too. But this is a bit of a push today, and we are very fortunate that the EQS has a 108 kilowatt hour battery, because there's very few electric vehicles that can actually make this journey today on this little of charge. We're about 23 miles away from Susanville, California. We're going to be arriving there with 69% charge. When we first left, it said we were going to arrive there with 71% charge, so pretty good that we've maintained a margin of error of about 2%, so it's fairly accurate. Probably could still arrive without having to stop and charge at this level 2 charger. Even if we end up putting 5% back in or 6% back in, it's going to be a peace of mind. It's AC charging, so normally that type of charge will hang out a little longer. I was just looking on the trip computer. We've been averaging from when we left Calgary before we headed back, we've been averaging 21.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is pretty awesome consumption overall. We are going to push this to the end today, so we'll see how this goes, and stay with us. We're going to be in Susanville, California in a matter of 20 minutes or so, and we'll let you know how it goes. We are on our way to Klamath Falls. You can see from the road we're driving on here why there's definitely no EV chargers on this route. We are in the middle of nowhere. We've got another 159 miles to go and 216 miles of range, so we should be okay. It's saying we're going to arrive with 25%, so even if it's wrong by 50% of what it's predicting, we're still going to have ample charge to get to the hotel. The hotel has an EV charger for overnight, so we can go on our way tomorrow. Stopped at a 6.7 kilowatt level 2 charger and had a nice long, I guess it would have been a dinner at this point, and enjoy it ourselves. 214 miles of range. I've had lots of gas cars that don't have that range. There's not a single gas station on this highway. We'd be in the same boat in an EV or a gas vehicle, just as much trouble. We are currently 106 miles from our destination, and we have 161 miles of range, so our anxiety's starting to calm down. Would you agree with that, love?
Just a bit.
Just a bit?
Just a bit.
Just a bit, yeah. Can you kids believe we are over 7,000 feet above sea level in Lake Tahoe?
Nope. And I did not like it at all.
Why?
Because we could have fallen off any time.
How could we have fallen off?
Because if we're on a mountain and there's a lake, right? There has to be a humongous waterfall. So if we're in the lake, we could fall from the waterfall. So this half is the water, and this half is the car. Alright, so we could just be driving, then we make such a sharp turn that we fall into the water.
Is that what you think would happen?
That's not possible, Julia.
Well, we would have rolled down the hill. I think we would have been happy to make it to the water, because the roll down the hill would be probably want to wash off after all the pain that we just went through. Probably want to soak in that nice warm Lake Tahoe water. But we probably wouldn't have made it that far. What have you guys learned about driving an electric car as long as we've been driving it?
Dad got electrocuted from the Tesla. And the windows in the back are very small.
Actually, Tesla's done a fantastic job and has a fantastic charging network. Do you like the electric car, Charlie?
Yeah,
What do you like about it?
I like the wheels.
Yeah, oh, nice. What else do you like?
I like the food.
Oh, come on. What else do you like? What else do you like about the electric car?
I like the phone.
Oh,
The phone?
Yeah. I think he means the board, like the dashboard thing.
maybe the dashboard.
Sophia, what did you learn about driving an electric vehicle?
When you're parked and you turn off the car, it makes a light show. It says Mercedes-Benz. So first it has like stripes, and then the Mercedes-Benz stars, and it moves the stripes side to side, and then the stars fade away, and then it says Mercedes-Benz EQS.
My dear sweet love that made this trip possible. What did you learn?
Well, I've learned a lot, but what I've appreciated is, especially with Milo, whenever we've needed to leave the car and leave Milo inside the car, we were able to turn on the AC for him while the car was still shut off.
And what do you not like about doing a long road trip in an electric vehicle?
I mean, just the anxiety factor. There needs to be more charging stations.
Realistically, you need to be planning correctly. You should stay at hotels that have EV chargers,
Yeah.
even though from what we've learned, the fancy hotels don't often have the EV chargers when you're going to remote areas like this. Marriott franchise has a great franchise of, the Fairfield Inn Suites and the Spring Hill Suites, and they're actually nice rooms, nice hotels, nothing fancy, but they all seem to have EV chargers, and they're really convenient to access. For an early adopter doing a road trip like this, it's beneficial to be able to stay at hotels like that, because they often have available chargers when you arrive, because there's not a lot of people that are as crazy as us to make this drive. Those are basically the things that you need. Once you have that all in place, it makes it fairly easy. Comment in the sections below, let us know some of your crazy road trips, not necessarily just for an EV road trip, but a big family road trip like this. I mean, round trip, we did over, by the time we get home, we would have done over 6,000 kilometers. Let us know what are the best things to do, especially when you got children involved, when you got a pet. Let us know. We'd love to hear your stories. Love to share them with everybody else. Watching the percentage go up. That's something you'll never get in a gas vehicle, where you see your actual fuel grow. Pretty neat. So now we're down to 5,000 feet. But this is fantastic. I mean, this is just recuperating. So we'll check in a bit. We have approximately an hour and a half until we arrive, and we're currently sitting at 45% charge with 139 miles of range and 89 miles left to go.
We are in the middle of nowhere, watching a long train pass that we have been watching for 10 minutes.
Yes, this is correct. So we are currently in,
Klamath.
anyone who's
we're
watching
saying
this,
it
I hope
properly.
we're saying it properly. We tried to Google it, but we couldn't get an answer. But Klamath Falls is where we are.
It's late. It's been a long day. We're just waiting for a train to clear. And yes, the end of the train is here. This is fantastic. We have made the journey. We currently have 21% remaining and we have 64 miles left of range. We are currently 6 miles exactly from our destination. It's saying that we're going to arrive with 19% charge. When we started this journey from our last location, which was Susanville, California, it said that, you know, we were going to end up with approximately 40 kilometers, call it 25 miles of range remaining once we got to our final destination. And we actually bested that. We're now going to arrive 56 miles more than what actually it had said that we were going to arrive with. We're going to credit a lot of that to the strong recuperation that we had it set to. A lot of the downhills helped a lot. That was fantastic. But how was everyone feeling? Was everyone anxious a bit if we were going to arrive?
Yes,
Were you anxious?
definitely.
Everyone was a little bit nervous?
Well, I wasn't that nervous, but when we were on the tippy top of the mountain, I was about to scream my head off.
Were you really? Okay, but what about on this last stretch here? Were you ever concerned we were going to run out of electricity? Starting with Sophia.
No, I was not.
Okay, Julia, were you anxious?
No, but I was anxious when we were about to die at the tippy top of the mountain.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry?
Charlie, your turn. Were you anxious at all? Were you scared, Charlie, at all on this drive?
Yeah.
What was scaring you?
The mountain. The mountain.
Okay, no, but on this drive, did you think that the battery was going to run out of power? Yeah. Okay, so only Charlie was concerned. Were you happy when you got to eat chocolate-covered pretzels? Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah, was that the best part? Okay.
I
Mona,
personally hate
my
chocolate-covered pretzels.
loving, devout wife who supported this crazy adventure. How did you feel on this last stretch
I mean,
here?
when am I not anxious? Let me just, when am I not anxious? I mean, I feel like after what happened to us in the desert, I feel like my anxiety went up again. Driving down to California, I wasn't that anxious. But then on our first drive, when we left California and we were in the Mojave Desert, and then we literally stopped to charge at 14%, I feel like my anxiety, 13, my anxiety started
14 was a
climbing
stretch.
again. And then today, when we mapped out the different chargers, I feel like my anxiety climbed
Now
again.
turn
So
left towards US 97 northbound.
it's hard not to be anxious.
We only got 19% left.
See what I mean?
Okay, are we happy to finally be at the hotel?
Finally.
Oh, yeah, it's
Oh,
dark
my.
outside. We left in the morning.
Okay, everyone,
and
we
now
will
it's
see
dark.
you tomorrow
dark
for our
outside.
next journey to Ellensburg, Washington. Perfect. We traveled today 420 kilometers from South Lake Tahoe to Klamath Falls, Oregon. We had to charge once, and that only cost us $12.24, bringing the total to $69.70 since we left Los Angeles. This same distance would have cost us well over $200 in the GLS. Join us for episode 10 as we carry on to Ellensburg, Washington. We are leaving right now. We have a 392-mile drive ahead of us today. It's giving us one charge-up location 135 miles from now in Bend, Oregon. Not gonna lie, yesterday was a challenging day. Milo's cough and everything else was a challenge, and it was a long day. We're all pretty tired today. Had a bit of a slower start, but still hitting the road. It's about 9:30 this morning. You know,
Oh my
all in
god,
all-
my cup of tea I left on the roof.
Oh, okay.
My coffee.
I think the
Where's my
360
tea?
got that.
Here it is.
Wow, it actually hung on.
There's my flip-flop. My coffee.
Well, it's cooled off
Where's
now.
my tea?
There you go, it's cooled off. We're making our first stop at 134 miles from now. It's not going to be as challenging of a day, and we're not going to be driving in the middle of nowhere today. We will keep you posted when we get to Bend, Oregon, and we'll be there soon. We are at 65% charge and 47 miles away from Bend, Oregon.
We are supposed to arrive there with 53% charge. I think it's going to be a little bit less. It's mainly because of the fact that it's getting kind of hilly here. We don't have as much of the wind shelter that we did on Highway 139 yesterday that prevented the vehicle from experiencing the crosswinds that it might have otherwise experienced. I was explaining to Mona that I have this thing in my mind that I call hot watts and cold watts. Be similar to like in a gas vehicle where you get better fuel mileage from one type of fuel than another, but I find that the range when you charge on a slow charger overnight and the battery has, you know, it stays relatively cool, that the range is a lot better. It doesn't go through as much charge because the battery's not quite as hot. So today it's actually, even though we haven't had very much recuperation, it hasn't used a lot of charge. Traveling the distance we've already traveled right now, the fact that we're at 65%, we've driven about 120 miles, you know, and only used 35%. It's pretty awesome. So we are currently 38 miles from our next stop, which is in Bend, Oregon. That is a EV fast charger in Electrify America, and we're going to be topping up over there. It says we're going to arrive with 53%. We're at 62% right now. The vehicle's actually done a great job of managing the charge today. We're not going to probably get as good of range on the watts we're about to put in right now. What's going to happen is it's going to be, the battery's going to be a little bit hotter as a result, so we won't be getting that as much. I'm not sure if any of you have ever experienced the same thing. If you have an electric vehicle yourself, have you experienced the hot watts, the cold watts? Please comment in the sections below. Let us know. We're curious to know if you've experienced the same thing before. Do you feel that the price of a vehicle dictates whether or not it's luxury, or it's the actual vehicle itself that's luxury? Because our experience talking to Tesla owners in particular, they tell us that the Mercedes-Benz really nailed the luxury aspect. It feels like a real luxury car. So we're curious to know what you have to say. We just charged up to 100%. Range anxiety is high on this part of the road trip. We're in a better place than we were yesterday. Yesterday was quite a challenge, but we might make a stop just before we actually get to Ellensburg, where we're going to have a destination charger, but we're not 100% sure. We've been charged now for probably about 20 minutes. I'm still waiting for the family. They had lunch at Panda Express. I ate my lunch in the car, hanging out with Milo because he's not feeling too well. I've been waiting for them now for 20 minutes. Here's another scenario where the car charges faster than the family does to recharge its stops. I'd like to get going, but after they went to Panda Express, they decided they wanted to go to Handel's homemade ice cream. So it must be really good ice cream because they're sure taking a while. We're 221 miles from Yakima, Washington, where there's a high-speed charger there. We might top up there, or we might just push the full 258 miles to Ellensburg. That really comes down to the terrain. So we're also dealing with hot watts. Cool watts. So let's see how this range goes. Today's definitely a long haul. Tomorrow's a long haul too, and then we get to stay a couple nights in Kelowna, which will be nice. Please like and subscribe. Put your comments below. Love to hear your feedback. Love to hear about how long the stops are for you usually on family road trips. I mean, you know, it's never been a gas and go for me. This is charging, which takes longer than gassing, and it's still the same scenario. We are now leaving Bend, Oregon. Family's enjoying their ice cream. As I had mentioned earlier, they wanted to have ice cream just before they left. We had finished charging about a good 20 minutes before they were done. We have 217 miles to our next charge stop in Yakima. We may consider skipping that charge stop because it's only 254 miles to our final destination. We'll see. You know, we're troopers now. We drove through the desert on reserve battery power. We can do anything. This is saying they'll arrive with 23% if we skip it. We'll see. Maybe there's a lot of PTSD still in this car, so
I was stressed out enough yesterday. Please, let's not push it again today.
Okay. I also really think that we're going to stop regardless because it's in 217 miles for that stop. I don't think we'll make it the extra 45 miles without having to use a washroom.
No. They just had Phantom. There's no way they're going to.
Yeah, no, those bladders are not going to hold that long.
We don't need to talk about the bathroom.
We're not talking about the bathroom, we're talking about the bladders.
We don't need to talk about the bathroom.
Okay.
That's inappropriate, Daddy.
That's inappropriate, Daddy. Daddy, that's appropriate.
Okay. So right now it's saying that if we just go straight through, we're going to arrive with 24%. But that's in 4 hours and 30 minutes. I don't think we're going to make it that long. Now I'm going to hit charging stations
along route. I'm going to select only DC fast charge because we're definitely not waiting for anything. And then we're going to add back in this Electrify America in Yakima. Anyway, we'll check back with you guys in a bit. We got a long drive ahead of us. Please like and subscribe. Put your comments below. We are 8.5 miles from our stop in Yakima to charge up. We're not going to charge to 100% because we don't need to, because the hotel is 45 minutes beyond that. We have been driving now for quite some time. Everyone's going to need a bathroom break for that reason. We're going to charge as long as we need to be there for. That's going to be our new approach on this charging stop. We'll be there in about less than 10 minutes. Our final destination is 45 minutes from there, and we'll be done with this day. Been a really good drive today. The range worked out to be a lot better than we had expected. A lot of it was to do with the fact that we did a lot of recuperating coming down the hill. We dealt with the craziest crosswinds we've seen yet on this part of the drive. It's kind of nuts here. It's 32 degrees Celsius and it's blowing heavy, heavy winds. Arriving with, looks like 26% charge, maybe 25% by the time we get there. We're being a little bit adventurous with the rate of speed we've been traveling at lately, mainly because of the fact that just like right now, the car just put 2% back into the vehicle from the recuperation of having to stop at this light. We just left a charging station, Electrify America, at a Walmart that was in Yakima. We charged as much as we really wanted to be there for. We had promised the kids that they get some toys, so they got to go inside and pick out some toys in the Walmart, and by the time that they were done, I was already at 82% or whatnot, or 83%. While I'm there, I run into a young group of guys going to a EDM concert and an elderly couple who just got a rental car, and they both had rental electric cars. One was a Chevy Bolt, and I think the other one was also a Chevy product. I'm not sure which one it is. They didn't get a lot of instruction when they were giving these rental cars, unfortunately. I mean, I gave them some apps they could probably use that'll help them out, but they were both a little bit frustrated in terms of how long their cars were taking to charge. This is a very important point. We are trying to show you through this trip the viability of owning an electric vehicle, but there's good apples and bad apples, right? And I mean, nothing against those vehicles, but of course you do pay for what you get. And in something like the Mercedes EQ line or the Mercedes-Benz line in general, you're gonna see charging capacities much higher than what are gonna be in other brands. It did make me realize that, you know, the bad name that people have associated with electric vehicles and range anxiety in particular, I mean, a lot of it's fueled by more primitive technology. Simply, electric vehicles, a lot of them have gotten a bad rap because of situations like these people were in. When you just haven't taken the time to do the research and you're using an electric vehicle that's using primitive technology from when electric vehicles first started to come onto the market, it's going to shape your opinion of an electric vehicle in such a way that you're just going to say, oh, no, I never want to go through this, never want to go through that, because you're going to listen to the horror stories that people like this are going to share with you from just renting a vehicle one time. Do your homework, find out what the kilowatt hour is, the capacity of the battery, find out how many kilowatts it can actually charge at. These are all things that are going to, you know, really determine how convenient or inconvenient the electric vehicle that you choose is going to be for you. And this trip has been really enlightening for me because you really don't get that perspective until you've had a chance to experience it and live with the vehicle and drive it as many kilometers as you had. And by the time we get home, it's going to be over 6,000 kilometers. I can tell you firsthand, when you meet these other people that are at these charging stations, you're pretty grateful for what something like this will deliver on. So please, you know what? Please subscribe, like, share, comment below. We'd love to hear if you've done some homework on some electric vehicles. If you own an electric vehicle, if you did your homework first and found out that, you know, what they can charge at, if you were aware that electric vehicles could charge up to the capacity that they were going to, we'd love to hear your feedback. We are arriving in Ellensburg, Washington. We've completed our journey for today, and tomorrow we're on our way to Kelowna. I have a border crossing there in between, crossing through Osoyoos, so it should be some beautiful scenery. Driving probably through some of the vineyards as well, which will be really nice to see. We have to say that the range anxiety here in Washington State is pretty low. Minimal. Yeah, pretty minimal. There's a lot of charging stations around us. We're back into civilization.
And it took forever to get here.
Yeah.
Subscribe, comment down below, like and share what your favorite road trip was.
Perfect.
Wow, perfect. Okay, love, anything for you to add today?
It was pretty easy today.
Yeah, today was
today was a lot better than yesterday and the day before.
Today was like the calm part of the movie production.
Yeah.
You know, it was anticlimactic today.
I mean, the scenery was also beautiful, but there was a lot of charging points where we weren't anxious.
Yeah, there was absolutely zero anxiety today, which is probably why Mona was telling me.
I mean, we really didn't need to stop at the last charging point anyways.
We had no business stopping for another charge. I mean, we're here now. We've got 66%. We're charging overnight on our charger, which
Manitoba Avenue.
it's probably going to be done soon. Yeah, Manitoba. All right, bye everyone. MBTTYYC. Yay! Charlie got it. Yes. Say it one more time, Charlie. Yay!
We traveled 651 kilometers today, charged twice, once in Bend and once in Yakima, Washington. The total cost of charging today was $45.72. The same distance in the gasoline-powered GLS that we normally would take on this route would have cost $125. Join us for episode 11 when we travel back to Canada, crossing through Osoyoos, British Columbia.
Okay, we just left Ellensburg, heading to Osoyoos, British Columbia. The original plan was to go to Kelowna, but Kelowna is on fire.
Evacuation orders expanded through the night and day. The McDougall Creek fire burned closer to West Kelowna as more fires started on the Kelowna side.
The beautiful thing about a road trip is you can always adjust. Turns out that this is a shorter drive, no charging stops required. The hotel we're staying at is the Watermark Beach Resort in Osoyoos. It has an EV charger, everything that we need. It's pet friendly. It's 187 miles from our current location. We've been on the road for just a bit. We're down to 87% charge. Charged up full last night at Ellensburg. Really cute town, by the way. The people were so friendly, very safe. We're looking at approximately another hour and a half. We'll be crossing the border here probably in about an hour. Range anxiety doesn't have us too concerned. Our minimum range right now is at 227 and our maximum's at 252, but our destination's 185. So even in a worst case scenario, we're going to make it there. Even if these high winds affect us and there's a margin of error there, I don't think that the EQ intelligence is going to be out by 50 miles. From there, we got to figure out our way home because the fires could cause some road closures. We got 2 nights there, so we'll find out how that goes. We are currently 96 miles from our destination, driving through this beautiful area that's along the Columbia River called, I want to hope that we're pronouncing it correctly, Chelan. 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 This is epic scenery. Highly recommend this drive for anyone. We're on the 97. The 97 carries through into Canada. The charge has been doing really well today. We had some icy cold charge because the charger last night at the hotel charged at a very, very, very slow rate. About half as much as what the standard AC charger would do. We have 174 miles minimum, 175 maximum. So I think the 1 mile discrepancy is saying that it's got it pretty figured out. Right now, the particulate matter outside is 8, which is good right now. I fear that throughout the rest of our drive, it's probably going to get a little bit worse. But as of right now, I can just go turn on this here, put a recirculation of the air through. Got a nice fragrance coming through and it's ionizing. It cleans all the air that comes into the cabin. Like and subscribe, comment down below what your longest road trip was. We'd love to hear it. We are currently 38 miles from our destination. 38% charge left. We have 112 miles of range, 108 minimum, 111 now maximum. The air quality here is very bad. The smoke is insane. We are feeling extremely fortunate right now for having Energizing Air Control Plus function. We've now driven into some very heavy smoke from the fires. I've never seen this go purple before, but it's saying 152 particulate matter. It's very unhealthy air. Our interior now is very good. It's good. It's at 5 p.m. 4 p.m. So it's actually cleaning the air that's coming into the cabin. Definitely we're putting it to the test right this moment. You don't smell any of the smoke. The fragrance is neutralizing that. So is the ionization. And the reason why you cannot open the hood on the EQS, and this is a very important thing to be, reality is that the air filtration system that's in the EQS is what occupies the majority of the space under the hood, or the front, as you might call it. And that is really saving our lungs right now from some very unhealthy air. How do you feel about this one that we have this?
I feel very safe inside this car right now. Like outside, you could tell it's gray, and it's only 2 p.m.
Now it's in the reds.
It's back up into the red zone.
Not particulate matter 2 p.m., it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah, 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And it feels dark because of all of the smoke and the ash in the air. But inside the car, I can't smell the smoke. So I feel very lucky to be this morning.
Very few electric vehicles out there, with the exception of the Mercedes EQ series, actually have the range that you're going to see out of something like this. We haven't had to stop for a single charge either. I mean, we've been driving nonstop from Ellensburg. We got 34 miles to our destination. We got 103 miles minimum, 106 miles maximum of range. It's been monitoring our eco display. It's been recuperating as well with the strong recuperation by putting charge back in the vehicle. Please share your comments below. Let us know if you've taken the time to research a Mercedes-Benz EQ series. If you can actually provide us with some of the benefits that you found when you researched a Mercedes-Benz EQ series. If you found some disadvantages you found from a Mercedes-Benz EQ series versus other electric vehicles that are on the market. Please put your comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback on electric vehicles that you've researched. Here we are. It looks like it's Armageddon outside, but it's actually not a bad thing. It's a little bit dark because of the rain, so there's a bit of a sprinkle of rain coming through, which is probably good for the fires. It looks a little bit clearer in the distance, and surprisingly, the air quality is actually a lot better here, even though it doesn't look that way. But, you know, Mona called it right. She said it looks like it's actually a rain cloud. And it is a rain cloud because you can see the streams of it coming down. We're just about to cross into Canada. We're approaching the border as we speak. We've got 26% charge remaining, and we're only 8.2 miles away from the resort where we get the plug in for a couple days. It's good that the air quality is not as bad here because it just means that we're going to be able to hang out on the beach there, although it won't be that sunny, but it is 27.5 degrees outside, so it's going to be nice. And we are back in Canada, but just barely. Osoyoos is just across the US border. Air quality is now at 34 p.m., so it's moderate, which is really good. Cabin is still sitting at 1 p.m., which is really good. We had some nasty crosswinds. It really did hurt our range quite a bit. An expected ETA of 25%. We started with 37%. We lost 12%. We were driving directly into that headwind. We got here with 24%. We lost 13%. So that's what I always talk about with planning your trip accordingly, and, you know, making sure you have more than enough upon arrival. So I've always got it set on there that the arrival has to be 20%. So that we always have that buffer, and we're arriving at 24, even though it said we were going to arrive with 37. So, you know, the headwind didn't help, the inclines didn't help, definitely been a challenge there. And we have arrived, people!
We have arrived! Woo-hoo!
Today was a much shorter drive than the rest of the trips, mainly because of the fact that we stopped short of what our original destination was, Kelowna, and ended up staying in Osoyoos, which is just barely into the Canadian border. We traveled a distance of 204 miles today, left with 100% charge, arrived with a 25% charge. The same trip in the GLS 580 would have consumed nearly 50 liters of fuel. That would have equated to approximately $70 US. We're charging at no cost to us at the Watermark Beach Resort. Join us for episode 12, where we make our final journey home through Kelowna and on to Calgary, Alberta. Okay, so we're on our way home. We just left Osoyoos. We're driving towards Kelowna. We were going to go through Highway 3, but we're now going to drive through Kelowna, which is actually a slightly shorter route, but more importantly, it has a lot more high-speed chargers. The drive home on Highway 3 would have taken us longer because the chargers are about 100 and then 50 kilowatts, which isn't quite enough for us to be a stop and go. We also want to definitely be a stop and go. I mean, we are driving into the cauldron of the fire right now, driving into Kelowna. The smoke has made its way to Osoyoos, so we couldn't have timed this better, leaving first thing this morning. This is the highest PM levels we've ever seen. It's currently saying that the outside air quality is actually dangerous. We're going to probably see this get even worse. However, the ionization system for the energizing air control plus is actually cleaning up the air so much that we're down to 9 p.m. on the interior. For those of you who always ask, why don't the EQs have a frunk? Why is it filled with all that stuff in the front end? Well, that's what's actually cleaning the air inside this car right now. So I'm okay putting a roof box on. I don't know about you, love.
Definitely.
And having a clean cabin interior rather than actually having a front. Because I think that Mercedes-Benz has actually put, once again, safety and health
as a top priority in their engineering, rather than going with just a pure convenience and having an additional trunk or front in the front of the vehicle. Our drive today is 700 kilometers. We're back into the kilometer range, 718 from where we currently are right now. We've just recently left Osoyoos. We're hoping to be at home by dinner, which will be great. We did enjoy the last 2 days in Osoyoos. Would highly recommend it. It's Mona's new favorite spot. We stayed at the Watermark Beachfront Resort. It was amazing. It would have been a lot harder to get everyone to leave this morning, but the smoke came in and now everyone wants to be on their way. We are currently sitting at 7 p.m. on the interior. The exterior is up to 282 and just came down from 288 p.m. This is crazy, absolutely crazy. And if you're seeing the actual footage around us right now, this is some pretty extreme fires. Probably not going to help Milo's kennel cough at all. 40 kilometers from Kelowna. We've been on the road for a bit. The smoke is really bad here, like really, really bad. You can barely see, like there's a haze right in front of the hills that are right in front of us, and you just really can't see. You look out onto the lake, you really can't see very far out. The PM levels outside are at 293, 294. They're going to probably hit 300 PM. Interior quality is still managing at 8 PM. It's working hard. There's no doubt about it that it's working hard. Please subscribe, like, share, comment below. Let us know what your priorities are, because, at the end of the day, our priorities are always safety. When we're shopping for a vehicle, safety is the number one utmost priority. And would you be willing to give up a little bit of space for that safety? What's the most important thing for you? Are you more focused on convenience or safety when you're shopping for a vehicle? I mean, ideally you get a blend of both, but if you're having to make a choice between the two, what would you rather have? We'd love to hear your comments below. Please let us know what is the most important thing to you when it comes to shopping for a new vehicle, particularly if you have a family. Currently sitting at 77% charge. We're supposed to have charge of 73 when we arrive at our charge stop in Kelowna. We're just going to make a pit stop there really quickly, top up at a 125 kilowatt charger. We intentionally chose a charger that wasn't a super high-speed one because we're charging from 73% up to 100, so you're probably better not to have it too much flow overall, although the car does regulate it. So really it's unnecessary to have anything more than 125. Because realistically, we're not going to get more than 125 once we hit over 80%. Okay, so we topped off in Kelowna. Maybe it wasn't that necessary. There are actually a lot of charging stops on this route from the 97 to Highway 1. For those of you who do a lot of travel to Kelowna, this is actually a really, really doable route. We have a lot of options, actually. We were choosing between all the different ones. We decided we're going to have lunch in Revelstoke, so that's what we're going to charge. There's an Electrify Canada there. We're supposed to arrive in Revelstoke with about 55% charge. So we'll see exactly how that goes. We're a little bit lower elevation now because we came off the peak, so the air outside is still dangerous. It's at 264. The interior is down to 3 p.m. The air quality is extremely bad. I know the scenery where we are right now is maybe not the best, but comment below. Let us know what your favorite place was of all the places we visited on the way down and on the way back up. I know that Osoyoos is at the top of the list for Mona. We'll see.
Osoyoos and Lake Tahoe.
Osoyoos and Lake Tahoe.
Oh, and San Juan Capistrano.
You mean San Luis Obispo?
San Luis Obispo, sorry.
Yeah, San Luis Obispo, Lake Tahoe, Osoyoos. You might have liked the other ones too. I mean, we really like Ellensburg, that cute little town.
Cute little town.
So please comment below, like and subscribe. We'll check in with you guys near to Revelstoke. We're currently at 63% charge. We just recently passed Sycamoose on our way to Revelstoke. We're supposed to arrive there with 54% charge and 48 kilometers. The air quality improved substantially here. So we're at 45 p.m. 2 on the interior of the car. Wishing people in Kelowna the best. It's really heartbreaking to see what we just saw. We're going to be stopping at an Electrify Canada. It's just like Electrify America, but it's the Canadian division. The only difference is when you plug into the charger, it says please, and then if it doesn't charge fast enough, it says sorry.
Okay.
We'll be there soon. We're going to charge up to 100%, get some lunch, and be on our way. So we are exactly 6.9 miles from our charging station in Revelstoke. Something that you should probably know about is that the Electrify Canada is a really new station, and for some reason we could not see it on the app. We're actually going to be charging without preconditioning the battery, so it's going to be interesting to see how fast it preconditions the battery to charge. I mean, the good news is it's only 20 degrees outside. I think the battery is going to be relatively cool, so we'll still get a fast charge. I mean, it's always advisable to have as much information as possible. Most of the stuff is available to you through apps available on your phone. Mona's got an iPhone, I've got an Android. Both of them work just fine. The same apps have been available on both of them. We're arriving right now with 52% charge. It had predicted us to arrive originally with 55, so we had a bit of discrepancy of about 3%. Some beautiful sceneries here. The good news is that the skies have started to really open up. The exterior PM is now down to 7, which is good, and the interior is at 1. If you've got an AV and you spend a lot of time going back and forth between Calgary and Kelowna, this is an ultra easy route. There is definitely no range anxiety. There's more than enough places. So we will be stopping here now. We're in Revelstoke, coming up to the Electrify Canada, and we will check in with you guys after lunch. We just charged up at the Electrify Canada in Golden, BC at the Railway Museum. I don't think anyone, actually Mona and I both don't think that anyone knows about this charging station because it didn't even appear on our map. We had to go through the Electrify Canada app to find it, and there was no one else there. We had just about much time for me to take a bit of drone video and all of us to have a quick bathroom pit stop, and that was it. I mean, we pulled in with 52% charge. We pulled out with 96% charge, and now we're just on our way to Golden. We're going to arrive there with 65% charge. There is definitely zero range anxiety anywhere around in this area. This drive to Kelowna, if you had an EV, you'd have nothing to worry about. Absolutely nothing to worry about. We even saw a Tesla supercharger station. By next year, you're actually going to be able to use on a Mercedes-Benz. We feel like we've been living on the road. Feel like a bunch of nomads. We feel homeless, a bunch of nomads. We are really looking forward to getting home to our bed tonight, but this has been an epic journey, and the sights we've seen were incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, I mean, we've never seen that before. We're actually now heading back into 27 p.m. outside, so there's still a bit of smokiness as we come through here, but it's only 1 p.m. on the inside here, it doesn't matter. 132 kilometers from Golden, BC, 92% charge, with 430 kilometers of range left to go. We are so looking forward to getting home. Okay, we are 14 kilometers from Golden, BC, and we're going to be hitting up Dairy Queen because the kids want blizzards. We are going to do our last charging stop. There's just too many charging places to choose from, and the truth is if we really wanted to push it, we'd probably make it home on the current charge status that we're at. We're down to 62% power. We charged to 96 at the last stop point in Revelstoke. And even though we charged without preconditioning the battery, it still took the charge at over 150 kilowatts on the 350 charger. Because of course, if it was putting the battery in stress, it would have slowed it down further. This charge is going to happen so quickly that we're actually going to eat somewhere else. We're getting a drive-through food and then charge separately, similar to what you would do at a gas and go. I mean, we're at 62%. It's going to be a really quick charge. We're probably not going to charge to 100. We're way over our range anxiety. And from there, we've got only about 3 hours to get home. So we just charged up in Golden, BC. Kids got some ice cream. We just went through the drive-thru, and then we went over to charge up. We were already at 62% when we charged there. We charged up on a 350 kilowatt charger that happened to be in the parking lot of a different restaurant that was further up the hill on Highway 1, but it was actually on the westbound side of Highway 1, so we had to cross over on a little roundabout. The charge happened so quickly that, I mean, I pretty much got a bathroom break in, and the kids hadn't even finished their food yet. We only charged to 93%. We were going to unplug at 88, but then we had to let Milo do his business really quickly. We didn't need to do that at all because we're going to arrive into downtown Calgary with 39% charge. So we definitely have way more than enough than what we need. This has definitely been by far the easiest part of the drive. Put your comments below. Do you often go to Golden? Do you often go to Banff from Calgary? Given our ETA right now, we're going to arrive in Calgary in just under 10 hours from Osoyoos. And that is normally an 8+ hour drive. So that includes charging, stopping, everything else. No one ever does 8 straight hours. You usually stop, grab some lunch, whichever it is. We didn't come from Kelowna today. We came from Osoyoos, which is about 2 hours south of Kelowna. How many people have had a breakdown or major issues on a road trip before? How did you get around that? How concerning was it? We'd love to hear your comments, love to hear your stories. Please like and subscribe. We'll check out with you closer to when we're in Calgary, which is in just over 2.5 hours. We are passing Banff, Alberta. Now, if this was a video about a road trip to Banff and back in an electric vehicle, I think it would be laughable. But it's not. It's actually a road trip that we successfully took a 2023 Mercedes-Benz EQS 450 SUV from Calgary, Alberta, Canada to Los Angeles, California. Well, Los Angeles,
Orange
California,
County.
and then to the Orange County,
Yeah.
representing
Orange
because
County.
what's that?
To the Orange County?
To Orange County, exactly, representing for Orange County. We went all the way there. Mona drove it in public charge for a month, and being in California, you know, you just rack up the miles because everything to them, they say it's just down the road.
Close.
Just down the road. But
45 minutes later,
40
you're there.
yeah,
That's
40
close. That's not
just
bad.
down the road. 8,500 kilometers by the time we get to Calgary, including the time that it was in Los Angeles and Orange County. We wanted this to be a proven concept. Can you drive an electric vehicle from Calgary to Los Angeles, California? Particularly, can you drive it 3,000 kilometers, 3 kids, a dog, a whole bunch of stuff, a roof box that's going to do nothing but slow you down with about 200 pounds worth of stuff on top of it. And then we had to bring it back. And here we are now back in Calgary. You got to know what you're up against. You got to know what you're driving. You got to know how fast is this going to charge? Where can I actually charge this car? You have to know the infrastructure, and you have to have an amazing partner. You have to have a wife that is going to be able
Or
to
a husband.
to be able to manage that type of anxiety, because it is anxiety.
It was.
And it wasn't just about the range anxiety, but it's the anxiety of, okay, what are we going to do to pacify the kid on the drive? Got these devices, and Mona did this great job of having the snacks there all the time. She was the one that booked all the hotels that had EV chargers and were pet friendly. We had some great stays as a result of that, and it was really nice to just get up and go.
Yeah.
Not going, okay, great kids, we gotta stop and get gas. Okay, all right, you already went to the washroom in the hotel. Now you have to do it again at the gas station because everyone anticipating this long drive and this boredom. Oh, let me get this coloring book. No, we just got in the car, we were gone. Eventually, we started to develop the mindset that our charging stops were actually things that we could be productive in. We have our snacks at that time. We eat during the time that we're at a charging stop.
We walk around. We buy some stuff. Do a bit of shopping.
Let the dog out.
Yeah, let the dog out.
Let ourselves out.
Yeah.
My tiny little bladder was really well pacified during this
You gotta
drive.
even talk about bladders at the bathroom.
Okay, we really enjoyed the vehicle overall. However, nothing is all flowers and sunshine. There were some challenges that came with it, without a doubt. What were the challenges overall?
I would say mostly in the remote areas where the charging stations were far apart. It was mostly the range anxiety, because when you're going uphill and downhill and there's wind and all of this extra weight, the battery drops quick. That was adding to my anxiety. But when I was in the city driving around, there really wasn't any hiccups. It was pretty seamless. I mean, the charging station next to my parents' house in Orange County was really easy. I would walk over to Starbucks, get a cup of coffee, walk back, and it was fully charged. So, I mean, it was pretty easy.
I think, though, overall, when it comes to the range anxiety, the one thing that we did well is, I mean, our anxiety did fuel it, but we never planned our trips to be within a really low percentage upon arrival. We always had Mercedes-Benz EQ Intelligence, program the nav. You have to remember that when the rate of charge disperses at a higher level than normal, that the percentage you're seeing that's in front of you, even though it's saying it's going to have a certain amount of range, is probably going to be further negatively affected. So you're really not truly going to get the full benefit of what you're seeing for a range on your display, because the range is constantly calculating. And it's working off of averages because it doesn't know what the wind speed is going to be and which direction the wind is coming from in that moment. It knows what it's going through for kilowatts, but you went through those kilowatts by the time that's happened. So you have to plan effectively. And you know, the most important thing is
You want to make sure that you have fun and you want it to be an adventurous drive, but don't be going to areas that have extremely limited amounts of EV chargers, because if you're doing it where you're just going to be on the wire and you're just going to have just enough charge to get there, it's not going to be an ideal or an enjoyable trip. You may still make it, but it's going to probably add a lot of stress to your trip, and nobody needs that when you're doing a summer vacation road trip. Do your research. Know what a kilowatt hour rating is on a battery. It's going to tell you a lot. 108.7 kilowatt hour battery in this is massive. When I was having a conversation with Mona, and I said, you know what? Would you get an electric vehicle to replace your GLS? And she said, it doesn't work for our road trips to California. Well, guess what? It does. That's exactly what we proved.
Tried it.
We proved in this. Knowing what you know now, Mona, would you get your next vehicle as an electric?
I mean, I love my car. I really do. I can't complain about the GLS. But after this road trip, I feel like I've gotten used to the EV. I think it just takes time to get used to. And now that I'm comfortable with it and we have the charger in our garage, I can just plug it in at night, wake up and it's fully charged. I would say so.
And how often did you used to gas up your GLS?
I mean, you used to gas up my GLS for me. I hate filling up gas. It leaves a disgusting smell on my fingers. In the freezing cold in Calgary, I'm standing outside in -30, so you're the one filling up gas. But now with the electric car, I don't even have to worry about that. I just plug it in at night the same way I plug in my phone and done. So easy.
You know, another thing that we really were fascinated by on this road trip was the recuperation. It's amazing to drive a vehicle that actually puts power, or puts fuel, I guess, back into the vehicle as you're driving down the road. We're going up a hill right now as we speak, and when we come on the backside of this hill, everything we pretty much spent in kilowatts going up the hill, we're going to get back going down the hill. The difference with a gas vehicle is when you burn it, it's not coming back. There's no way to recapture that energy that vehicle has dispersed. As a mom with 3 kids, Mona, what did you enjoy about driving an electric vehicle? How did it help you on a day?
I mean, it's very comfortable. The ride, it's very quiet. These seats are very comfortable. You can't hear anything. I love all of the technology from the inside. I love how whenever I turn on my turn signal and there's a car, the whole side of the car lights up. Not just the little arrow in the mirror, the whole side. So it's like safety. I felt extremely safe in this car. And for a mom with 3 kids driving in the winter and the summer, always I feel like I'm a taxi driver with pickups and drop-offs and activities. I feel very safe in this car.
One less piece of stress that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I mean, when we started this road trip, we got to Idaho, Charlie had a fever, we ended up having to take him to an urgent care there. On the way back, we ended up having to deal with Milo in Lake Tahoe picking up kennel cough. We had to rush him to the animal hospital. You know, we also had to drive through the forest fires.
Oh yeah, I was right about to say, I love the air purifier. What's the
Energizing
air Control Plus? Mm-hmm. When we were in Kelowna, it was what, up to 250?
No, we hit 400, which it actually
outside
said
the exterior
the exterior PM was 400. Yeah.
And the inside was like one or two.
You know, I think had we not done this road trip, Mona would have ruled it out for her next
I would
car.
have said no way.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're going to get an EV as her next vehicle, and that's going to be on the horizon soon.
G-Wagon.
EQG. The new all-new G-Wagon electric is coming soon, and that is what Mona has her sights set on. And I think she's earned it because she's been an incredible life. I'm glad everyone enjoyed the synopsis that we were able to deliver on electric vehicles. I gotta say, you know, hats off to Mercedes-Benz. They did an incredible job with this vehicle. We truly enjoyed this road trip. It was incredibly enlightening. And I'm sure that our children are gonna look back at this one day and say, how silly. They had to do a road trip to Los Angeles to convince themselves and to convince anyone else that range anxiety is not really a concern with the infrastructure that's in place today. They're going to be looking back at that the same way that we would have been looking back, or at the way our parents would have been looking back at their parents about steam engines. That's where we are today. And I got to say that this has been a fantastic and very enlightening drive. And I'm glad that you joined us for this drive. I'm glad that you got a chance to watch the video. Please subscribe, like, put your comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback on this video.
And if we're to do any videos similar in the future, I think there's going to be a one in the winter on the horizon, because the number one thing that gets asked of us is, well, what about in the winter? What about in the winter? Well, Mercedes-Benz has got that technology pretty figured out as well. And yes, there is going to be an impact on your range in the winter, just like there is impact on your range on a gas vehicle in the winter. I mean, the winters, especially where we live, can be pretty hard on a vehicle.
Actually, the number one question you guys probably get asked is, where's the bathroom?
30 kilometers from downtown in Calgary, finally saying that we did it. And we've arrived, and with no issue, no incident, and it was a fantastic and incredible adventure. Not just an experience, it was an adventure, and we loved it. Yeah, we would encourage anybody to do the same thing. Amazing.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. And enlightening. Incredibly enlightening. Thank you. MBDTYYC out. Everyone.
Everyone.
Yay. Everyone. 1, 2, 3. MBDTYYC out. Peace. We traveled over 700 kilometers today, from Osoyoos, British Columbia, back home to Calgary, Alberta. We charged for a total cost of $32 at all the stops combined. We arrived in Calgary with a 35% charge remaining. Probably didn't need to make the last charge stop. We could have easily made it to Calgary on the existing charge that we had. Now, we finally made it home. 3,000 kilometers from Los Angeles. 6,000 kilometers in total, starting in Calgary, Alberta, going all the way down to Los Angeles, California, and back. The total cost of this trip was about $420. The same trip in the GLS would have cost us over $2,000 in fuel. Thank you to all of our viewers and subscribers for staying with us through this epic journey. We hope that you learned as much about electric vehicles and what it takes to pull off a road trip like this as what we learned by actually experiencing it firsthand. I want to take a moment to also thank everyone who supported this video and this entire initiative, starting with Mercedes-Benz Downtown Calgary, Mercedes-Benz, and particularly Mercedes-Benz Canada. And we want to thank Squared Marketing for doing an incredible job with all of the editing and all of the data and footage that we had to bring back and had them sift through to create this incredible production. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey, round trip of 6,000 kilometers with me and my family, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Please like, turn on your notifications, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your stories.